Welcome. Oh shoot, Gannon, if you want to join, message us on our TikTok.
Motherfucking Gannon just gonna talk
We
about
were
fucking
just talking
psychoanalysis.
to Gannon like 5 minutes ago.
Get Verbum. Go to Verbum TikTok. Just DM us, or I'll get you the StreamYard. But welcome everyone. Today we have a discussion on liberalism, which is gonna be an interesting discussion. You guys there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm chilling. I'm just waiting.
I'm not
for
sure
my
if I
turn.
got disconnected.
I'm just trying to wait for some leftists because every leftist has to support Stalin. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to wait for some.
I'm pretty sure like leftists are denying the Holocaust. That's what I've been hearing.
Yep,
about
that's what I heard.
All right, chill. I'm literally going to kick you out, bro.
Oh, my bad.
So
Wait, I mean, like, it's not. It's like, okay, wait. Tomorrow, what are you guys talking about? That's what I heard about. What are
So,
you guys
all right,
talking about,
what
John?
we're going to do is we're going to leave this an open discussion because everyone hates liberals. I have literally the most
That's
hated
sad.
liberals on the internet.
that's right,
on
man.
this screen.
That's right. I'm the most hated liberal. Nobody
Well,
else. What are you talking about?
So, first, let's just have people. Wes LARPing is Lord Kings. We'll have people just introduce themselves. I'll start with Hasib.
Yeah, Hasib Saktam Habistro on TikTok, and I just want to talk to some leftist about how the global south is not going to be exploited in my ideal society.
Based.
Mr. Amir.
Sure. Hey, I'm Mr. Me. I do politics, but I just wanted to clarify my position. To clarify what I was trying to say earlier, I'm saying they're using similar arguments to Holocaust deniers. That's what I was trying to say before I was interrupted. My bad, because the people, you guys are talking about Uyghur Muslims tomorrow, right, or some shit?
Well, tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. My bad. But yeah,
Hasib is not hated. Neolib.
Yep, Neolib Hype House here. I run the Neoliberal Hype House along with some other people, and I guess I am what are we introducing here? That's what I do. Do we need to introduce
Stances.
our ideologies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the basic position of neoliberalism is that markets are
Neoclassicals.
in generally good, but there are failures that need to be corrected in the market, and that's what the job of the government is for. And the extent to which those failures need to be corrected and the ways you go about doing them are debatable. And so there's a wide range there, but that's the basics.
Alrighty.
Lord Kings.
Alrighty, my name's Lord Minsky on TikTok. Just a reminder that the neoliberal hype house is neoclassicals. Don't let them throw you off on that. They are wrong. But pretty much right. I am a PK, a social democrat, and remember that Hasib is a new Keynesian also.
Oh, Hasib's a new? Not a...
Yeah, no, he's a new now.
Oh, damn. And Nick?
I think Nick is dead.
You dead?
Dang.
Okay,
Wait.
so because no leftist showed up yet, Gannon's going to start soon, or Gannon might come soon.
Nobody wants to hear about commodity production.
Bro,
Gannon's just
yeah,
going
it's
to
kind
talk
of
about
cringe, but
capitalism, bro.
me as the grillist here don't really care. I do want to ask you guys quarrels with leftists, libertarians, why you guys hold your beliefs, and then we'll have people, try to crap on you. But I'm gonna, a lot of people hate
Can you hear me?
liberals.
Yo, who the fuck talk shit on me, dog?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. My name is Nick. Politics with Nick on TikTok. My MMT here. I'm staunchly opposed to neoliberalism, and that's it. And I'm here to also, along with Hasib, that social democracy does not have to exploit the global south.
Yes, it does get
Venya, Josh, you and Drew are allowed to come on. Just hop on. I'll send you the link. Gannon's coming on in a second. So I just want to start. I guess we'll start a conversation going, and then we'll get some conflict and discussions going. I gotta send it to
Yeah, let me just ask the neoliberal hype house a question or two. So, is it true that you're a neoclassical?
I mean, yeah, okay, whatever, sure.
Oh, that's cringe. So, stagflation?
Yeah, look,
No?
I'm not here to debate PKs, right? Because I'll lose is the thing.
Wait. Can I ask a question? I'm just a quick question. When I feel like this is a discussion that we've had in the server and a lot of times with the hype house. when you guys say you're neoliberals, that's not entirely accurate, right?
No.
No,
So
right,
right, originally, yeah, I'll give a quick rundown. Originally, 30s, I think, right? There was a conference because the presiding sentiment at the time was laissez-faire capitalism, right? And so these neoliberals decided to, then they coined the term then that they would be a counter to laissez-faire. So anybody who says that neoliberalism is laissez-faire capitalism is wrong, right? They notice that the government needs to step in some circumstances, and this is not at all debated, right? Like everybody sort of knows that in the cases of like endangered species, the government 100% like needs to step in. They are better at correcting for those than the market, right? So, but then, over time the turn changed, and it was, by the 70s or whatever, or somewhere around that time, basically only used as an insult, right? Okay, to Thatcher, Reagan, Pinochet, or whatever. And then eventually, modern day on Rose Twitter or whatever is now used as an insult. The word changes meaning again to mean moderate Democrat, for some reason, in an effort to tie them with Reagan, right? Basically both parties are the same type beat, you know what I mean? They're all neoliberals or whatever. So the goal is to sort of reclaim the term to kind of, an ironic twist on, oh, we're just moderate Democrats or whatever. And then also like back to what it was originally for correcting market failures.
Most people in the neoliberal hype house are like either sock Dems or...
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there are, even generally people that call themselves neoliberals, few are like true neoliberals in the original sense of the word, but there are a few.
I want to ask all of you guys then, like, what are your thoughts? Because I know everyone has different. What's your thoughts on like populists?
I hate them.
I hate them.
I think anybody who's a populist, or I think the rhetoric behind surrounding populists and the people who use that rhetoric are completely and utterly destroying the political landscape as we know it today.
Brian,
100%.
100%. And it's weird to me that people come on here and say, imagine unironically calling yourself a neoliberal and then calling themselves a populist, something that has historically shown, every time, you try and fight against the elites of the establishment. And then, it turns out the real elite of the establishment was you as you were seizing power for longer than you should have, riling up the people. Ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, populist bad. That's the basic idea. I think it's an oversimplification to use the rhetoric of us versus them all the time. That's just it's a complete oversimplification about how anything works. And it's ironic that leftists specifically would use populism because it's kind of ignoring I think the principles of what leftism is. I think, but whatever. It's whatever. But people will defend whatever they want, I guess.
Wes?
Yeah, I'm just not a populist. I guess it's bad. I don't really look into that shit.
Wes, what is your biggest quarrel with, I guess, the leftists? I know you used to be a tanky, but
just not throw that out there to the public. So I would just say my biggest thing with leftism is we can solve the issues that they have under a capitalist mode of production.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
From everything that I've seen, I agree with that. Maybe there's some other.
Unless you go into that psychoanalysis BS, then I'm not here for it.
Unironically, I think since I'm not the most well read on everything about economics, right? I can't tell you the specifics, but every single time, I don't really have a problem with socialism. I have a problem with socialists. Most of the time, people who call themselves socialists don't use arguments logically at all, ever. But maybe socialism is a good idea. I just never heard anybody use an argument that is solid. In my opinion.
Yeah, the government does stuff.
Yeah, the government does stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
bad.
Hold on, I'm seeing if anyone has joined yet. No leftist. It's been 8 minutes, and no leftist will challenge the cringe liberals.
they're just scared of us, honestly.
Apparently, like, it's probably specifically West, to be honest. But like, apparently, liberals are so dumb; they don't know anything they're talking about. They have no idea what they're saying, but they can't come on and just maybe they can't even ignore West. Just talk to me, right? Or the neoliberal. Yeah. You could completely strawman everything that
Gannon
West
has. Gannon, I don't know if Gannon's busy. Gannon has seen the link, so
yeah. I mean, like,
Gannon, if you're gonna come on here and see some psychoanalysis BS, I'm not for it.
But he's gonna.
Bro, I don't know who the leftists are. I put out the call. Tomorrow we'll have more people.
Bistro.
Oh, so you have to leave. Maybe he's loosening the blow. But we will have people on. I think Buddha or
Nice Wi-Fi.
Bernard.
Wes told me no.
Let me see.
I think leftists are just like people who
Wes
ascribe
told me no.
some kind of moral philosophy to economics. I think that's what I think, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous how, you get, once you get in this head, okay, that everything that's sort of this capitalist is bad, right? Then you overlook easy solutions, like with zoning, right? Okay, like the easy solution is that clearly, the government of California is inefficient in the way that they are deciding to build these apartments, right? Okay, and so then rather than like liberalize the zoning markets, they're like, okay, we'll just build the houses on our own, and then they don't build enough, right? And then people are homeless, right? There's literally not enough houses being built, okay, because they don't just think, okay, maybe in this one case, this free market system is actually going to be helpful.
You want to know what we can do instead of that?
What are you going to do instead of that, Mr.?
The government could just supply houses to everybody. Want to know why? It's an amazing thing, right? Because the government can't run out of money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just saying.
I mean, it is.
Saying.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. The point is,
I do want to ask.
obviously we can sit here and say that, right? But the real progressive politicians who are, not for this zoning reform, that then suggest strategies, they never suggest enough, right? It never goes far enough, because it's so much more difficult to like do this than like politically wise, electorally. It's so much.
What are you talking about? Like when it comes to like the politicians who aren't
Like,
suggesting?
I don't know. There was one person in California who proposed a solution, and it was like a fifth of the needed housing. Like for the year or whatever. Like it totally didn't go far enough. I can find the name if you want me to.
I would have less of a problem with leftists if they just used like the something to get to the place that they want to get, like some kind of practical application of any of the concepts that they're giving. But they never do. I've never heard anybody give me like practical applications that we can get towards.
Why do you
whatever
guys think that leftists shrug off like Why do you guys feel like leftists shrug off like your ideals? Because like I'm sure there are. I'm waiting for people.
I mean,
to get their contentions. I'm not allowed, but
I guess.
Why do you think that people like shove off liberals so much? I mean, yeah, what did you
because
guys
these
think?
people are obsessed with counterculture. That's what it is. Unironically, that sounds like a meme, but people
Well,
just don't
expand
want to
on
be the normal. Oh, sure. Like people don't want to be the normal thing, which would be being a liberal or a conservatives. I see so much rhetoric about how like, oh, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I'm a leftist. So much of that happens all the time. And you see the same exact thing with libertarians. These people are obsessed with like the aesthetics of what they're talking about rather than what they're actually talking about. Does that make sense? That's what I believe, at least, wholeheartedly.
I think the main thing that I would say to that is a lot of them, I guess, misunderstand where we're coming from, or kind of like overgeneralize a lot of us. Because like just having a bunch of conversations with a bunch of liberals, I mean, within the last few weeks, when we've been able to, I guess, make them become PKs or MMTers. I mean, just from having conversations about what their actual problems were with our society now, and we just offer them our solutions, and a lot of them agree with what we're saying. So
I think that most leftists are extremely dogmatic, and a majority just recite like what at this point are just platitudes like social democracy exploits the global south. Like I've asked countless people, leftists specifically, if they want to have a discussion with me about this, because I genuinely think it is something that requires a lot of nuance and a discussion that needs to be had. But
It's a
instead,
good conversation, right? It's a good
Exactly.
conversation.
Well, I do want to ask, like, what is your? I guess to see while we're here, what's your thoughts on the idea of post-Keynesianism or liberalism hurting global South countries?
Sure. As of right now, I agree that a lot of the Nordic countries do specifically, like the transnational corporations do exploit the global South. Is this necessary? I have no one to show me the transnational corporations to look at the what do you call it? A few big companies. I believe H&M, which is one of the big most cited ones, could I believe pay all their workers in Bangladesh a living wage and increase the price of their shirts by like something like 25 cents or something. Additionally, PK actually have their own theories and ideas about how to help these countries, a lot of which have to do specifically with phasing in job guarantee programs, working to a lot of these countries. Actually, it's good already have monetarily or already have a sovereign currency, which means that they can implement these policies. They just need to strengthen their currency, which comes with implementing protectionist policies, because as of right now, as it is with these countries, they give out and export cheap, unfinished raw goods and have to import expensive, finished, completed goods. And this is just terrible for their economy and has halted them from developing. So
Okay.
just a few things on that.
So before we keep going with this, Loser's Corner, you said liberalism is merely a repackaging of conservative values. I'm just gonna say, how do you define conservatism?
And also, why don't you come on the stream and
Literally
voice why
anybody.
you think that? I mean,
Yeah,
it's easy to talk in the chat, but have a conversation.
Isn't
Hey,
Finn
Drew.
joining?
Drew's here now, right? Hey, Drew. We haven't acknowledged him. How you doing?
I'm good. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit. Like, kind of pisses me off that people talk so much shit, especially on platforms like Twitter, which I'm not a liberal, right? And then now we have a stream, and everybody is quiet all of a sudden. So I don't. If no one else will come on, I'll come on and ask questions, which I didn't prepare for this. I'm in a match right now, but what I do want to ask is related to a lot of the shit Wes hates.
Oh yeah.
So my bad.
What is it? Oh, it's the psycho. Oh my god.
No, I'm not going to talk about psychoanalysis just yet.
Is it ethics?
No, but I want to ask about like, what is your guys' responses to like the mental health arguments surrounding stuff like capitalism in general, like how, like specifically, like if people are going to bring about, actually this is a better question that I'll ask first. There are a lot of leftists, Kosher's one of them, I'm one of them, that are anti-industrialization, and we view innovation as an inevitability under capitalism. And like obviously we posit things like the springing of the nuclear family. We'll posit stuff like industrial like work contributing to shit like alienation and whatnot.
What's wrong with? Wait, can I interrupt you real quick? I just wanted to ask you, what's wrong with industrialization? What's wrong with that specifically?
Right. Yeah. So we're actually kind of anti-innovation for the fact that we view it like even this extends to stuff like medical innovation, right? I think the majority of modern medical innovation is pretty much useless. Like, let me use antibiotics as an example. Even scientists, which we see a lot of like mainstream science as like, sometimes can be influenced by, private sector itself. They even agree that things like antibiotics are being diagnosed so much to an extent where they're not even going to be useful at all. And this is within our lifetimes, to where shit like basic bacteria again will once be able to harm us and whatnot.
I could actually jump in on that about the mental health aspect. I mean, I think at least with our society, like, and just increasing the material conditions of a lot of people, I feel like can definitely help with the mental health aspect. I mean, I think it was 1 in 5 suicides are a result of unemployment. And one of the things that at least we advocate is the abolishment of involuntary unemployment. So, I mean, at least one aspect of the mental health question, or at least the mental health crisis that is plaguing a lot of people, is correlated with unemployment and through those booms and bust cycles, which we hope to minimize.
Yeah, sure. Like, obviously, when people, like, the overwhelming consensus is that when people are working, they have less mental health issues. However, again, you'll pull back to things like a really good way that somebody on TikTok put this once, industrial work and, like factory and assembly line, for example, and that when people don't see like the full end results of their labor, and this kind of falls into alienation, kind of the human aspect of creating something, the yearn to create's taken away from you, and this propels shit like consumerism, which I kind of want to get into consumerism a little bit too, but yeah,
I don't think anybody here would argue that consumerism is a good thing, right? Like,
yeah. Wait, I'd like to jump in on this modern medicine. You said you were sort of against modern medicine because it doesn't really help.
Well, yeah, like modern, like.
Can I get a source on that antibiotic thing?
No. There's super bugs. I believe this.
Sorry.
The first thing is true. I remember because I used that as like a Medicare for all argument for the whole like, it destroys innovation, because it is true that most antibiotics that are being created aren't being made to actually further any sort of medical benefit. They're actually simply being made to like get profit off of it, and that's one area of like the medical industry that has been extremely lacking in recent years with regards to medical innovation. But I don't know necessarily, Drew, if that's any reason to be against
innovation.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
insulin. I'm just wondering.
Well, my issue is that you would think that with all of our modern medicine, that human life expectancy would have extended at all, but it hasn't. If you discard infant mortality rates, sure, babies are the main distinguishing factor that has made the human life expectancy appear as if it's longer. But in reality, if you discard infant mortality rates, humans have lived basically the same as they have for the past thousands of years. Well, and so, yeah, I view a lot of this shit is like, if we're positing innovation as the reason why capitalism is a great thing and medical innovation is one of them, I'm not buying it.
Well, infant mortality rate. This is huge, right? This is modern medicine is what has sort of lowered this infant mortality rate, right? Also with all the diseases that would normally immediately kill the child, within days, weeks, hours, now can be cured, right? This is like throwing out one of the most important things we've done, reducing infant mortality. Right?
Yes, but what I'm saying is now that that is solved for, like, sure, in the progressing of humanity or whatnot, like, I'm not advocating for conditions pre-capitalism. I'm just saying now the innovation itself, it's not like we need more of it to solve for these things. Like, I don't see innovation all within itself is a bad thing, but I think there's two main distinguishing types of innovation. One, there's innovation that was created to satisfy a human need that stems from our needs for survival, or what would make these things easier, like the wheel, the lever and whatnot. But then the second type of innovation that has occurred mainly, post 1800s as a result of the profit motive being the driving force in these industrial societies, is innovation that tries to appear as such, but in reality, it just tries to make you contingent on it so that you can't exist within these things outside of it. I call this dependent innovation. No one even uses that. That's like a word that I use to describe it myself, so I better understand it. So this is like a lot of technological innovation to where now if you don't own like an iPhone, you can't properly exist within society. You know what I mean?
I'm going to have to challenge this point that it's mainly infant mortality. I just pulled up a graph,
Yeah, okay, exactly.
So infant mortality rate it's really been a huge part, right? 41 to 81 because of infant mortality rate from 1850. Okay, but if we look at the life expectancy of a 5-year-old, that's still 55 to 81. Okay, 65, 85. 75, what is that, 25 years? I can't do that. Yeah, like 25 years, okay, versus what is that, 25 versus 40, right? So even if you take out infant mortality, that's still like not even half of the medical progress we've made in terms of extending life expectancy. Okay, like this is still huge modern medicine advancements.
What is the bar? What is the bar? Yeah, wait. To peg off that point, what is the bar for you that we need to reach for capitalism to actually be increasing life expectancy? Would this be like limiting, like taking the limit off of like people dying of natural causes? Like, what are you asking? I'm very, very curious. Like, because children dying less is obviously a good thing, right? That's what I would assume.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Like I don't understand the question. What do you mean?
Here's what I would say. You said like we're sort of done right now that we've got this infant mortality thing under control. But I'm looking at this. I mean, you didn't. Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that I think is what I think the need for like obviously I don't completely deny the fact that capitalism and medical innovation has extended human life expectancy outside of just infant mortality. That would be completely stupid, obviously. But what I'm saying is like now, I don't see us extending this farther with increasing medical innovation and like innovation is itself a reason to keep a system of capitalism. Like when people are like capitalism is the reason for innovation, I'm like not entirely, because I distinguish types of innovation. And then I don't see this other type of innovation that I'm seeing as this part that is arisen from capitalism as a reason to necessarily keep it anymore.
So you're like, it doesn't really matter once you live past the age of like 80, how long you live. Is that sort of the logic?
Yeah. And I also I could go into like arguments on why it's not a good thing for us to try to keep extending our life expectancy over and over and over again. Like I don't think this positively contributes to society at all. It's trying to make us immortal. Like that's not something I'd like to pursue.
I disagree.
Why positively contribute to society? Is that what you're trying to say? Or?
Yeah, like I don't see like us keeping this.
What if we could reverse aging?
Again, I'd not be a fan of anything like that. I think that
Why?
I don't.
Dude,
oh,
I
okay. I
don't-
think I could actually back up Drew on this one. I
Bernard,
mean, I
you know what I'm
think the
talking about?
I don't agree with you.
I think-
I think the-
too, but definitely this.
Go Bernard.
Yeah,
and then
so, like,
Gannon.
Yeah, so like I don't know if I necessarily would go as far as Drew in terms of an anti-immigration immigration innovation stances, but I think the argument Drew is leveling out here is the idea. Is there anything like intrinsically good about a continued existence of living? Right?
No.
I think the argument there is
Yes,
no. I think our general stance is like intrinsically by itself. No, but like the reason why we value continued existence is once a being okay, to go into a little bit of philosophy of harm, right? Generally you consider things harmful, at least I do, when a thing frustrates the interest of the individual, right? Would you generally say that that's accurate, that we can all hold here?
Wait,
Okay.
sorry. Say that again. Sorry, I was reading.
Okay. So in terms of like the philosophy of harm in general, the things that when something is harmful, it is harmful because it frustrates the interest of the individual, of individuals, or being with interest. Would you say that's true, or disagree with that?
It's harmful because it upsets the interest of the individual. Who's breathing into
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see where this goes. Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
Last
So yes, of course, yeah. So not of course, but yeah, sure. We can
Yeah.
say that. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
So
cool,
someone
cool.
conflicts with the interest of the individual. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, in this sort of regard, a push for a always consistently continued existence isn't intrinsically good by itself, right? Because this presupposes that a continued life is always going to be the interest of an individual, right?
I would
don't know
agree,
if that's
right?
necessarily
Either
true.
life is good or it's bad. If it's
Yeah,
bad,
yeah,
we should
so-
end it. If it's good, we
I don't
should
think that
move on.
dichotomy. I don't know if it's necessarily like
Buddha, wait,
always
wait,
there,
Buddha,
right?
Can I
Yeah.
give you like an extreme example? So maybe this could word what you guys are saying. To
Okay, and then
make
I want
reference.
Gannon to be able to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you're saying basically, if we could extend our lives infinitely, but that infinite extension would actually mean that we are suffering for millions of years. That's not worth it. Is that what you're saying?
If that is the case, then yes, right?
Yeah.
An infinite existence isn't intrinsically good by any metric. What would be good is if a person wants said infinite existence and like enjoys it, right?
Yeah, sure. So like this is okay, right? I can agree with that, but you would have to claim that like in an extended life would not have a high probability of being outwitting some amount of good, right? Like we're
So-
making lives better for people.
Sure, and that's what we're generally arguing about here. Sure. I would agree that I would have to argue that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is what you'd say is that like if it increased in quantity of life, as long as it like matches up with an increase of quality of life, you'd be fine with that, or
Yeah, I don't think that capitalism can necessarily do that. It's
Yeah.
Wait,
Wait,
can
wait,
I
wait.
hold on? Can I give you like a couple hypotheticals?
Well,
go for it.
Okay. If we abolish poverty under the capitalist mode of production, how do you feel about that?
Yes, sure. I would say that's good, right? Like
Yeah,
I'd say that you can do things that are good.
Yeah. So would you be acceptant of those?
I would be fine with that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I would say
Nick,
generally
and then-
speaking.
This is one of
Can I
my
keep-
biggest arguments, right? Let's say
One
Okay.
second, Nick. Can I kick you out and then I'll bring you back in later?
yeah, that's fine.
All right, thank you.
So what's
Go ahead, Wes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically we get to an
Yeah.
ideal PK society, right?
Sure.
How is a revolution going to happen?
Yes, sure. So like we can have different. This is something I'll definitely give you right now, and this is what I'm generally reading into. I don't know necessarily my stance on like how to bring about a specific change into communism. I'd be fine. Like me personally, I don't know that
Yeah, most
to
of
give
us
you a
are
like genuine
revolutionists.
answer.
Yeah, I know
Um,
most of you are
I
like
just
pragmatically PKs. So
Yeah, for sure.
just yeah, and in that sort of regard,
Though there
I would
are
say
some leftists who like reject the
Yeah, who think
because
and
they
maybe
believe, like, it'll
maybe
lead to complacency or something.
Yeah. True. But like maybe a revolution is possible, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I can't. I'm still looking at stuff like
what do
that.
you feel
But yeah,
about
sure.
like under my system, right, with the maximization of full employment? What are your thoughts
Sure.
on like less POC inequality happening under that system?
I would be okay. So yeah. So clarification, real quick. Fine with making like improved systems, right? Like it'd be
Improved
ludicrous. Yeah, like it'd be ludicrous for
I
me to
just
say
wanted to
like
ask.
something like yeah, like
Because,
I'm
like,
not necessarily yeah.
like I know the only issue that we've thrown at us right now is the mental health issue with Drew, which I haven't really
Sure.
looked into, but I probably know Hasib has. But I just wanted to know if you guys would support a type of capitalist mode of production that could solve the basic issues that leftists want to fix.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
if
I
it
think
could.
I think if it could, I think it's really, really difficult to find something like that, though. To say, but if it could, sure. I think one thing that seems to be integral as well to a lot of leftist beliefs is the idea of exploitation of certain workers there, right? Like
I mean,
and the alienation from certain things that they make.
Yeah,
To be fair,
and-
we would have to go into like Hegelian and then like Marxist alienation. there,
Wes,
but, like,
you
yeah.
could also like why under a system in which like obviously I don't think like profit motive stems from capitalism. You'd agree with that statement, correct?
Yeah.
We posit that mental health is widely profitable. So like as long as that incentive for mental health to be profitable exists, we see this as kind of a continuing pursuing of the capitalist class. to
See,
make
this
it
is
issue.
the thing, Drew, right? I support extreme government regulation inside of the markets, right? I'm not like the neoliberal hype house, right? Where I want a free market, right? I think that's where the government should step in. I am for, Medicare for all. I believe it should be the government's place to buy that. As again, I'm an MMT guy. I love MMT.
Sure.
This wouldn't be a constraint on the government at all. The government can, I'm just going to say this for the memes of it. Somebody better clip it. The government can print millions and trillions and billions. It doesn't matter. They have the money. So pretty much, right? If we can have do you think the government could fix these issues if they were in charge of the medical fields?
Me
Okay.
personally- Wait, Bernard, you can go first.
I would say fat. Okay, I would say fat maybe, right? Because it's true that government, like, okay, in regards to government intervention, right?
Well, like,
I would agree with you that
Yeah,
I think the government
before
should be
before
involved
we
in
go
the market.
severely in depth with this, right? Let's look
Sure.
at a country that has like Medicare for all. What's a Nordic country? Let's do Iceland. Iceland has Medicare for all. Do you know about those medical studies or no? Because like
About
I
in
know like
regards to,
Iceland,
like-
yeah, with like mental health and everything. Because like I'll say Iceland right now is my ideal society, just because they haven't committed imperialism or anything. I think the only
Sure.
time they were about to get imperialized was by the Soviet Union. Yeah, I'm shouting that out at you, tankies. But I just wanted to know like if you knew anything about that or no, because I don't know anything about the mental health aspect of it.
Well, I
So I haven't looked.
Question.
Can I?
Oh, this is.
I'll respond to Wes's question real quick, and then I'll let you ask your questions.
Yeah,
So
fine.
I haven't looked specifically into places like Iceland specifically. I know for a fact that it is worse in the United States due to things like what's it? It's
Privatization of the
I believe it's called PTC advertising. That's one big thing. But it's directly tailored to the privatization of like pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that, right? So I would say that
No idea.
I would say that if okay, yeah, no, I
wait,
suppose I would have
that's
to
Ginger
look more into
Comrade.
this.
That's Ginger Comrade.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, I told him to join. They've been wanting to speak to me on something.
Gotcha.
Can you tell
But
me?
yeah, I would have to look specifically into like Iceland
Hey,
specifically.
can
But
you
yeah,
wait
sure.
off for a
So-
little bit?
Wait. Yeah, can I
My
like
question-
address what Drew was saying earlier? I've been trying to get to this, but to go back to the point
Yeah.
that you were making.
Wait,
Ginger, I'm gonna have to kick you out for a second.
I have a question for either Drew or anybody who can answer this question. What is the idea behind that mental health is profitable? I really want to hear what this is. What is the concept behind it?
Yeah, sure. So okay, so it seems to be the case for a decent period of time ever since like around the late 1900s or like mid 1900s. Certain mental health issues for like the pharmaceutical industry has been privatized like heavily. So like for example, I'm sure you've heard of things like the chemical imbalance theory, right? Basically the idea that like neurological issues or like stuff like depression is caused by like lower serotonin levels in the brain, right?
Sure.
So this problem with this is it is largely not accepted through like the psychological community, and it's specifically used a lot of times specifically for the like sale of certain pharmaceutical drugs, especially in America where you have the PTC advertising, I believe, where basically said pharmaceutical companies will use this in like advertising. I'm sure you've seen any type of drug commercial that's like, take this specific drug because it's gonna like it increases serotonin levels or increases norepinephrine or something like that, right? This type of thing essentially is really, really profitable to push,
Mhm.
and it's also really, really easy to push because when you privatize mental health illnesses like that, it makes it really, really easy for you to not question the system that might have led to that. Because if you think it's a purely genetic thing, it's not going to be like, it's not the system's fault, right? It just happens you got a bad luck of the draw or whatever, right? So because of this, essentially, it's much more easy for you to not question the system in place, and it's really, really profitable to then put out a certain type of drug, essentially, to then fix, right? So that would be the general thing.
So like the. Oh, sorry.
No,
Go ahead. So basically, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joshua. Go ahead.
Okay, so my whole thing with that would be, right, a lot of people would push things like chemical imbalance theory and things like that in the past just for, I guess, profit motive, right? We've seen this. But my question posed, I guess, towards the liberals is, what if a Marxist or a anti-capitalist, in a sense, would chalk up the mental health of specific people within a specific society due to the society in itself, as Bernard, like, stated, right? Because we have seen through, like, the modern psychological, I guess, aspect of how they would medically treat this, that the environment does play a large role, right? So I'm not stating that mental health or the depreciating mental health of the people now is completely and solely due to capitalism. But we could argue that the capitalist superstructure does like impose specific.
I believe there's also evidence to show that like
to grow and things of that nature, right?
Right, to back that up again and to let you go right after Mr. Me. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But like, it seems to be the case that there's actually evidence to show that mental health problems have also increased. I think around the same time period I've mentioned because of this too.
If you guys don't mind me interrupting real quick,
would attempt to remedy this.
Yeah. So can you guys tell me? Do you guys have like the charts of where like mental health is a huge issue at like the countries and which one's like the lowest?
I don't have a specific.
Okay. Well, what I've been looking at, right, it's been showing that it's actually, like very, how do I say this? Nordic countries, right? Nordic countries are severely low in like mental health aspects. So again, like Iceland, right? Iceland's my biggest example of my society, almost, not fully.
Sure.
So my thing is, right, if we can tone down mental health, as we can see with some of the Nordic countries, as it's not becoming a problem there, as it is like around the world, like with the United States, Mexico, Bangladesh, like all of these areas who have a, I guess somewhat, if Austrians are in here, I'm gonna get smacked. Somewhat of a semi-free market. I think, in my opinion, I think the government's the best way to regulate the medical companies, not the markets. So I would agree.
So Wes, when you say mental health in Iceland specifically, so I just looked up quick. Suicide
I didn't see like anything, to be honest.
So in Iceland, right, suicide rate is 18.9 per 100,000 population. In America, it's 13.
That's for males. That's for males. Females.
That's for males.
Significantly.
On mental health, wait. I want to say something on mental health.
In America, it's lower for males.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
When we're talking about mental health, this is like the equivalent of being like, you don't like exploitation. Well, actually, you can be exploited less in Nordic countries, right? As long as it's still an issue that's stemming from the system itself.
No.
We have a problem with it.
Wait. That's not. This is
wait. I'm just
like
before we even hold on.
Yeah.
Before we even get into exploitation, I'm just gonna reject the labor theory of value. I'm just gonna reject.
I wasn't gonna talk about exploitation.
Yeah, I know, but for me to accept exploitation, I have to believe in your labor theory of value.
Back to suicide rates in Nordic countries. A lot of it is just, I'm being honest here, because they're cold. Okay, and being cold is depressing. Like so much of suicide rates or whatever is like, I guess, controllable factors like how long your commute is, right? But also just the environment. Like it plays such a huge role. Like that's not to be overlooked, if we're just looking at what like this is a factor pretty much like no matter what, things being cold, right?
Do you think that like increase is solely due to it being cold? I feel like that's kind of like
no, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what Neoliberalism say. I don't think that's what.
Yeah. I didn't want to straw man you, but that would be kind of strange.
Weather would affect mental illness. Like
wait. Japan has my bad for interrupting. Japan has the lowest amount of mental illness in the world, and you can identify it as somewhat of a PK society just due to their MMT aspect.
Wait, they have like almost double double our
pretty sure the
suicide rate.
suicide-
No,
No,
wait.
that's not what it says here. It says the least oppressed is Japan with a diagnosis rate less than 2.5%.
Well, I
Well,
don't
probably
think
because they
diagnosis
diagnose
is the
people
best
less
way of,
because their
analyzing
suicide rate is
mental
extremely
Yeah.
high, like highest of anybody
then,
except
it
South
says-
Korea
I
on
think
this list
suicide
and
rate-
Hungary.
It shows here
diagnosis rate isn't,
Iceland's
like, the
pretty
best way, in
rare
my
too.
opinion.
Yeah, but there's a
Suicide?
difference between
I
amount
think
of
suicide rate
How
is
are you
probably
how
one
how
of
are
the
you
best ways of
drawing any
identifying
sort of
mental health.
causation?
yeah. Like here's the thing, guys.
Hasib,
Autism.
the leftists so far haven't made any claim about why the suicide is happening. All West said was that in my ideal country, Iceland, mental health is extremely better, and then we bring up, well, actually, the suicide rates aren't even
Yeah,
better.
no, I would.
And they're
Yeah.
trying to think it's a
I
cold
would say-
weather.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to. If we're
Wait,
whoa,
actually,
hold on.
Bernard
Are we
or
talking?
Josh were both. Wait,
My bad.
Wes, 1 sec. Bernard and Josh were both making claims regarding how capitalism and the environment and the society itself can have impacts on the mental health.
Yeah.
So they both made direct
Not
claims.
suicide specifically, though, right?
Wait, on mental health, and then they went
well,
on to
okay.
provide evidence
When-
of suicide, substantiate said point.
I don't know if I brought up. I don't know if I
Yeah.
brought up specifically
Bernard did it.
suicide,
I'm not
right?
bringing up
I
suicide.
did it.
No. I'm bringing up suicide in
Okay.
opposed towards
vacuum?
like diagnosis rates as a way.
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Because it's hard to
like,
diagnose
ascertain
mental health in
mental health,
general.
right?
You know what I
Because
mean?
I think
Be-
suicide is a much better way of like ascertaining mental health within
Yeah,
specific.
yeah, because here's the thing,
than
autism
diagnosis.
rates have risen over time. Why is that? Because we know how to diagnose autism now, right? I mean, this is not because autism has actually increased in prevalence. It's because we can better identify it. Same thing can happen across different countries with mental health.
Precisely.
Can I interject? Like, from all this, like, how is this not correlation causation?
What do you mean?
Right.
specifically?
Oh, in terms of like are you asking us like
Well,
about
like,
the
capitalism or like because I'm not making.
I was about to, yeah. What can I try to? I want to talk real quick. So I
Yeah,
think
my
what they're
bad.
trying to say is that under our current society, mental health is a massive issue, right? But the thing is that John is correct about is that you guys haven't substantiated how
No,
that's.
also on your side, like, I mean, like, where's the like, you know, you're saying these things and like, you know, I understand logically they hold up, but like, why is that specifically correlative or sorry, causation?
What do you mean by cause? Like,
Are you asking us? Or are you asking?
What-
Well, honestly, I guess both because like, well, you guys made the well, you know, this is
No one has substantiated. So
Yeah.
I think what we're doing right now is we're providing descriptive claims. We're trying to figure out what is the reality right now. I think.
Yeah.
I
no
don't-
one has made it-
I'm just making.
I don't
sure.
even
I just don't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
this
yeah.
reality changing.
Okay, wait.
is
So,
what
Mr.
I'm
Me, Mr.
saying.
Me.
Okay.
So wait, can
So-
I just finish what I was? I just wanted to say what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys have to prove that somehow under a socialist world that these issues would not exist. That is the claim that you guys have to substantiate, right? That is
Sure.
what you have to substantiate.
No.
Yeah, sure.
There's a little bit of a leap. There's this dichotomy of socialism and capitalism, which isn't necessarily the case. 'Cause socialism could very much have a different cause for mental health issues, and yet the claim against capitalism could still be justified, right?
True.
So I think we have to not necessarily like prove a.
We can't
disprove
predict the
a
future
negative,
here.
but we just have to prove the
No,
positive.
the reason I say wait. The reason I
I
say
think
this
I
is
need to
because you guys are
outline, like, my
because you
position.
guys are proposing
Like-
a like some kind of solution towards
Okay.
Mr. Me,
Yeah.
specifically, I wanted to get into you. The reason I joined was when you said we're all against consumerism here, right?
I would assume so, right?
And this is specifically what I wanted to join because I need to talk to you about how, and I know Wes didn't want me to get on and talk about this shit, but like
Get him out.
how
Get
the
him out.
system of markets in general, right? The social democratic system that you propose cannot say that you're against overconsumption while also supporting the system that manufactures, designs, and forces people to overconsume. So what I mean by this is specifically
Now we can talk about psycho.
Okay, hold on. Wait,
Yeah, I
get in
feel like
before we
this
get
is
into
really
this.
what
I
the
wanna
Lacanians-
1 second before we get into this. I just looked up suicide death rate by country, and I look at it right. How come third world countries are the lowest reporting, with the least amount of suicides? Why is
Probably
that?
because of the reporting aspect.
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Definitely
right?
the
So
reporting
whenever we
aspect.
go to first world countries and Nordic countries who have more technology
Wes.
and more
Wait,
moolah,
I'm confusing
we
your point here.
see.
What point are you trying to make?
Okay, my point is right. Due to how would you define this? I think the neoliberal hype house is in here with me. I would say more suicide. I don't know what the word is. I guess like more
Increased ability to diagnose.
yeah,
like-
diagnosis. Like there is a higher diagnosis in first world countries than there
I
is in
wouldn't say
third world countries.
diagnosis, but like
Right, this is
ability.
a problem
okay,
that
so-
only gets
so-
revealed
Okay,
like,
wait,
once
wait,
we
wait.
fulfill our
I
basic
don't
needs.
advocate
Right?
against people.
Exactly.
Wait, what do you mean?
Wait, so Wes, what I think what I would generally say to
Maslow's
that
hierarchy.
is I think two things. One, you would have to or at least we'll probably discuss this as we go on, saying that like all of the general increased rates is only due to some form of higher ability of accounting, or not accounting. What's the term we used earlier for like diagnosing?
Diagnosis.
Mental
Well,
health.
yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. The lowest in the world is Barbados, with a 0.44%.
When you specifically brought up Japan, I would state, what is Japan's suicide rate in reference to?
Well,
other
this is what I'm going to say to
countries?
you,
I
right?
don't think using third world countries
do you? Well, yeah. Do you understand what's in Japan?
What do you mean by that?
You should know. You shouldn't. It's Logan Paul. He's famous for this. What did he do?
Oh, the suicide.
The suicide
forest,
forest, right? Can you prove to me that whenever the people who did the study found out that Japan's suicide rate was higher, was not because of people around the country going to this forest to kill themselves, and it was actual Japan citizens?
Are you wait? Are you asking? Are you asking if?
Wait! No! This is a perfect response.
Wait. I'm not trying to start. I'm just trying to ask for clarification.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a tad bit confused with what you're trying to propose.
Are you asking if it's?
This is what I'm saying, right? I'm saying, like,
yeah.
Do you know if they're calculating the people who are going into the suicide forest in Japan, or no? Because they go in there and they do drag bodies. Are they counting these as, you died in Japan, therefore you're going to be marked as a suicide in Japan? Because if they're counting the study like that,
even if it was, it's such a forensic.
Wait, no, that's how is that? Wait, Vinya, how is that a bad take?
Okay.
It just proves no.
So people, you're saying that people outside.
You're saying that people killing themselves in the Pacific forest causes a massive increase over time.
Wait, Vinya, do you know where people? Do you know where people go to kill themselves around the world? What is notorious for suicide around the world? The Japan suicide forest.
Wait, Lord Minsky.
Dude, I don't know why you're laughing. Like, give me a study that.
Somebody said this is an over
the craziest leap I've ever heard.
Yeah. This is somewhat of a crazy.
How many people? Wait, the question is really simple. How many people die in the suicide forest? A year.
Yeah, you can do the math. Look, somebody can do the math if they want.
How many people die in the suicide forest?
I just don't think this is a big issue.
Suicide in Japan. In 2003, 105 bodies were found in the forest, exceeding the previous record of 78 in 2002. In 2010, police recorded more than 200 people having attempted suicide in the forest, of whom 54 completed the act.
Now, can I ask you this?
Wait.
Yeah, I don't.
There's this claim being made constantly that this whole thing is a recent issue. Okay, but I'm looking at suicide. Obviously, under feudalism it was different, but like under 1600s or something, like twice what we have now, more than twice what we have now. Like it may be a recent uptick because of diagnosis, but it seems like overall general trend, it's on its way down. I don't know how
suicide rate's on its way down.
Okay, wait. We cannot talk about mental health issues with quite literally without talking about consumption, and that's what we have to get to draw, because we can talk about how mental health differs from country to country, but the sole thing we have to understand is everyone here agrees that that chemical imbalances and whatnot cause mental health issues. But what I want a lot of the liberals here to answer me is what causes generally a chemical imbalance in the brain with depression?
The environment
also subscribe to chemical imbalance theory. But
it's
wait. Is John here? Actually, I think we have John. I mean, not John. I have another John in the waiting room who could probably answer this for you.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that'd be.
No,
yeah, he's a friend of Jasper's.
Wes, we
What?
have wait. All right, shush. Yeah. We have 10 people. We can only fit. There's no one in the waiting room.
So if you want to, remove me and then add him, because I have no clue.
I can bring you back later.
But here's to respond to this. My question is so repeat the question.
Sure. So generally, you would agree that environment and social structures can cause mental health issues, right?
Of course. Anybody, it's not due to one or the other, right? Because when we talk about we don't know.
Who is
genetics or environment, right? Because these are both very important.
I have no clue who that is. That's
John.
Oh, really? I thought it was. No, Evan. My bad. All right, you can go.
This is hectic.
Who is this?
All right. So,
This is Josh.
So, if you agree that there can be social institutions and environment and whatnot that can cause mental health issues, what do you propose we do to shut down these social institutions.
Oh, yeah. For example,
And before we get to that, what are these social institutions that you think cause mental health issues?
Sure. So I can't give you like exactly what, but here's what I'll give you the proposed plan would be. We would see other countries that are doing things that are working, and we try to mimic those countries as much as we can. And then we rely on data and studies to give us more conclusions as to how we can reduce these these mental health issues. So for example, a proposal that I would like levy would be to institute something like a public option or a single payer system, because as we can see in some of these countries, these types of things of like physical well-being and then mental health in general, they tend to go. You would have an incentive to have these things go down overall across the country, and therefore the political will would increase in that country because of that. I think we can see very clearly in a lot of these countries that don't have like the U.S. has a private system, and we have a lot of these issues a lot bigger than other countries, and then those countries have that difference, right? Which is the Medicare for all the things. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like these are the types of ideas that I'm trying to propose.
Well, you're offering solutions on how people can deal with their mental health issues, but not how we get rid of these mental.
Gannon, I'm gonna wait. Hold on. I want to ask Gannon a question, right? Nick popped this question at you. Unemployment. Do you know what the mental illness or suicide rate is for unemployed people?
Yeah, it's higher, right? It's
it's extremely higher. Exactly.
I think it's correlated.
So
right?
I got a question. Yeah. But this is my thing, right? What if we start an employer of the last resort or a job guarantee program? What would happen?
I think you would see suicide rates drop. But I don't think it would, bro.
I got my point well made. My point made.
I don't think that ends that discussion, right?
Look, Wes. This is like what Benio was saying earlier, right? We don't have to. It's like not on us to prove that under socialism or post-capitalism.
No, I'm not doing that. Right?
Hold up. That it wouldn't exist. All we are trying to say is that the system of capitalism, which propels things like Gannon was talking about, consumerism, profit motive, and whatnot, there will be mental health discrepancies caused specifically by that problem. Sure, you can do things within the system and alter it to lower these rates, correct?
Yeah,
all we're saying is that the thing itself will do it. That's all we're talking about. Sure, other things affect it.
Go ahead,
So why would you guys be against
to provide any sort of substantive link between any of the aforementioned attributes that you have established for the system and the mental health that you propose has existed as a result of said attributes? So if you could just like get to that, because we've been talking for the past 20 minutes about how mental health exists without any reasons being given as to why they exist and any evidence being given as to whether these are the reasons. So
so that's what I wanted to get into with Mr. Me specifically.
Yeah, I was.
Anybody else wants to chime in? So we're talking about this idea of consumption. We have to understand what a lot of, I don't know how to call it, but modern day critiquers of capitalism try to understand specifically this, right? How does the system of capitalism that we live in cause people to base their entire identity around consumption of commodities, and how does commodity formation take place in the first place, and why does it take place in the first place, right? So I agree, of course, with Wes that employment programs are great. I've talked about PK econ before. Like, I'm not going to disagree with you, but like just saying that, okay, you admit that some suicides are caused by employment, so got you. Like, okay,
what Gannon is trying to say.
So I want to get specifically overconsumption, right? So what you see happen a lot, especially under market economies, you can even have a market economy that's regulated by a government that even cares for its people, but it gets to the point where, as Drew brought up this before, becoming alienated from your labor, becoming having a sense that your work is not relevant to you, that does not matter to you, that you're only serving a capitalist, creating profit for your capitalist. It gets to a point where you are so alienated from the work that you're doing that you have to go to other means to get a sense of identity. So where do we go for these other means, right? Or not means. Where do we go for these other means? We consume commodities and we give commodities value outside of the actual use. We give commodities value inside of a social standard, a social institution that gives commodities value more than they actually have, only because we have been alienated from the labor. And what happens if you're not able to join on this commodity federalization? What happens if you're not able to consume commodities? What happens to the lower class who does not have the means of racking up commodities like the middle and upper class do?
And let me give a quick
Neil, I have to go in like 2 minutes, so I was just going to do one last thing. Okay, yeah. So I mean, like three points to make really quick. First of all, you're talking about how even if we think that there is suicide, depression caused by capitalism, right? But you were talking about you don't have to substantiate; it would be better, but you absolutely do, because all of life is finding out what is the least bad solution. right? That's everything. Okay, finding out what's the least bad solution. So you absolutely do have to substantiate that
we
it
don't
would
have
be
to
better.
substantiate.
Okay,
Second of all,
so
this whole
because-
idea.
okay, sir, I'll let you
But wait,
finish.
before
I'll
you-
let
I
you
have to
finish, I'll
leave
let you
in
finish.
literally like 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
so
yeah.
someone yeah. So
Wait,
Neil,
so
is-
second of all, Second of all,
Finish.
this whole idea that it's a recent thing. No, like I was just looking at a study from like England or whatever. It's oscillates up and down, but it generally trends downward. This suicide rate and
I don't
depression
think we
rate.
have to prove that it is a recent thing. We just have to prove that some of the
Yeah, okay.
suicide rate,
Yeah,
or
and
some
then-
of the mental
Affected by
health is-
capitalism.
Third of all, I
That's
have to
severe.
go, so I'll watch this later to see what you say. But I'd like to see somebody like you substantiate that argument that you just made with data that this depression
exactly.
and suicide
Sure.
is
Well,
caused
This is
caused by
something-
this I don't know what you
Sure.
call
This
it.
is
This
something-
isolation from your labor,
Sure.
this not feeling like you're making an impact on your world. Because
I'm not gonna make
I
that
don't
conclusion,
not believe it, but I
but I
also
will.
don't believe it that this is
Okay,
like a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
cause,
right.
Agnostic,
right?
right.
Especially with like I was just reading a study the other day about co-ops and plywood companies, and it was just basically like, even though these people controlled it, it was basically the same thing, right? Like you still work, it was basically the same.
Wait,
life as
workplace
before.
happiness and worker co-ops is significantly higher than in traditional firms.
The workplace happiness.
Pay is
Okay, I was
also
just looking
lower.
at one
Yeah,
study
I don't
because
think-
I was just looking at one study. Accidents were high or whatever. I don't know. It
Yeah.
wasn't-
Okay.
Well,
and,
and
and you can leave, but like for your
Yeah.
first point about how we do have to prove that our future society, the reason this is it's such a disingenuous thing to say is because what we're going to attempt to do tonight, or in the hour that I have here, we're going to prove how capitalism specifically has caused mental health issues that your policy proposals will not fix. And then you say, oh, but in your place, how would it be better? In our place, these issues wouldn't be a thing, so these issues would not happen because we
Wait,
don't have
Gannon,
capitalism.
Yeah. So then
Because-
substantiate the
but we
third.
cannot-
point.
we can
All
do
right,
it.
I do have to kick out.
Whoa.
Based
Is
on our
there-
current capitalist conscious and capitalist understanding of the world, we cannot predict the future and how socialism will
Hold
work
on
the brain.
again. Can I ask you, is there people under socialism getting commodities?
People under socialism getting commodity being
Yes.
what, right?
I would just say,
Wes,
like,
Not a
Wes,
commodity.
What do you mean by a
Wes,
commodity?
Wes,
Okay.
Wes. It depends
Wait,
on the.
could I?
Wes.
can I speak 1 second?
Well, no, I want
Can-
Wes. It depends on the system you're talking about.
I said socialism.
Well, okay. Well,
Well,
Let's
have-
just look at the end goal, communism. Fuck it.
sure.
All right. So I'm
Sure.
going to ask you. Before we do this, I have to ask you, how are people getting paid under this? Because there's no money. So I have to, before we get in, I know like labor vouchers. Is that what
This
you
is
guys?
kind of going off
I
of what
wouldn't say
we're.
No,
labor
I'm
hours,
gonna
but
get
also
back
necessarily
into it. I just need to
labor
ask
times, because
something.
labor would be-
I mean, you asked the question, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the issue just so I don't, misinterpret what you're arguing for. How are these people going to get paid under your system? Is it going to be? I'm not trying to debate this. Are they going to get labor vouchers?
No.
No. What are they getting?
Labor vouchers is something.
Why do you think that?
specifically.
Okay, this is where I'm going to get into how capital has impacted our minds so much to the point where we cannot imagine future societies without direct compensation for work before we see the value of it.
Can
So
I get
why do you assume that?
Wait.
Why do you assume that direct compensation?
Can I give an example about what something that happens under capitalism that contributes to this? And this is a theoretical and it has an empirical observation that wouldn't exist in a post-capitalist society. So let's take the commodification of something like emotion. So we're going to use love, for example. So when you commodify an emotion such as love, what you do is it creates, this goes into what we call a stake. So you have a set of stake that the market structures. If you buy this commodity, will receive said emotion of love. However, obviously, if you purchase a commodity, you are not getting this emotion. So when marketing, example, markets to emotion, then you don't receive what you think you are buying. Do you think that would fuck up your mental health? Absolutely, it does. So we see lots of, there's so many empirical observations. I can link study about how marketing and whatnot and marketing tactics, differing, characteristics of them can contribute to negative mental health. And this is something that would not occur in post-capitalist society because you don't have commodification.
So my main response to that is like, you're kind of arguing from the standpoint, like we see like a lot of the problems that are currently there and we are offering solutions that will be solved in our society. Like I think Gannon kind of like made it seem like less of an impact that unemployment has on suicides. 1 in 5 suicides, that's 20% of suicides are linked to unemployment. That's like a huge mental health.
But this
That's a
doesn't
huge
solve
mental
it.
health.
I think what Gannon is trying.
That's like saying
to get
80%. We should just not think about it anymore.
I think what Gannon is trying to get at essentially is that since these problems are caused by this system, there will always there's an inextricable link between these between the system and these mental health issues. All you're offering is solutions, but you're not really getting to the root of the problem, right? You're just saying, well, we can lower the rate at which this happens, but you're not actually attacking the problem. This is
I would say I would eliminate suicide completely.
No, of course not. That's not
No,
what they're
no,
arguing
not
either.
quite,
That's
no.
not
Can
what they're
you
arguing.
can you
either.
substantiate how it's caused by the system?
That's a very
Yeah, I'm going to. Absolutely.
Can I?
I'm
Okay, is that okay? Can I? I want to jump in again. I'm sorry. I've been trying to say this. So what I'm trying to say, right? What I've been trying to say is that when we talk about these things, we have to provide solutions because we can't. What else is there to do? I'm curious. Like, what else? These solutions that we're providing are solutions to these root causes.
Yeah.
It's not like these things will disappear overnight. But
the reason it's not root cause.
The reason that specifically here, I'm not ever going to use the complacency argument for implication of econ, but in discussion specifically, we have to understand that liberalism will not solve these issues. So when you say, what else can we do besides liberalism because it'll solve some of the issues, in discussion specifically, I'm not going to just concede that liberalism is our end goal that we should strive for. So when you say, what else can we do? I don't care. Like, just, the moment that I realized liberalism specifically...
Wait. Ken, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt both of you. So we're providing solutions while you're just complaining against... What? What are you talking about? I've gave you multiple
Wes,
things.
Wes, I have a way to word
You
this.
gave me a solution to solve...
Yeah, hold on. Let Drew word it
solve
differently.
20% of suicide.
Let Drew word it.
The misunderstanding here is that we agree with you that PK would alleviate some of the conditions that cause like mental health and suicide. That we're for that. We're for pragmatic PK. But what we're doing is you think that adding the Band-Aid on this stab wound is your end goal solved. Well, we know that you're just going to have to keep replacing the shitty Band-Aid. Meanwhile, this never solves the issue that you have a hole in your arm. You know what we're saying here? So we're saying that, yes, correct, this can solve some things within it, and it makes it a little bit better. But at the end of the goal, we're not going to heal this thing in your arm unless you get, the stitches to solve this up and complete your surgery. That's what we're saying.
Your solutions are not solutions. You keep saying, we're giving you solutions. They're not solutions.
One second.
Temporary end goals to make
Hold
you
on.
okay and
Can I
complacent.
speak real quick? We've already gotten rid of 20% of suicide rates due to unemployment. We've already fixed that, right? Don't say we didn't, because we did.
In theory, sure.
Yeah, in theory, sure. Now I'm going to need you. The other 4, what are they? What else is causing this?
I never made the suicide argument specifically.
Well, somebody did. What else is causing this?
No, nobody made a suicide argument.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, what are you talking
I
about?
think they're just talking about the propensity to mental health.
Yes.
Yeah, mental health. What else?
I don't think.
What causes mental health issues?
So okay, we
Go ahead, Buddha.
So all right, cool. Yeah. So during this whole time, I was trying to find the best research that I could for you about specifically capitalism and the mental health issues we're talking about, right? So two things when we before we continue. One, obviously suicidal thoughts aren't the only form of mental health problems, right? That's why I'm saying specifically mental health here, right?
Yeah.
Now obviously this doesn't mean I'm trying to argue that all mental health issues will go away under a socialist society, right? Obviously.
Yes.
Clarification. Just to be clarified.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So a lot of different other mental health issues. I believe you could actually find certain evidence in regards to things like schizophrenia. I'm trying to find the specific things so I can actually send it to you. I'm on my phone here and my laptop here, so it'll be annoying.
Can I provide? Yeah, or go ahead. After, sorry.
Yeah. But like, there's other ways that we generally perpetuate problems with mental health, right? We don't only see this one-way type thing, right? We see it through perpetuation of certain types of drugs, maybe certain types of like alcohol in terms of like
Josh, can I kick you out for a sec? I'll let you back in a little bit.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So like in basically the general argument here is a lot of different types of things due to consumerism tend to lead to more and more things that cause mental health as well. And if those things are caused due to consumerism, which is caused due to capitalism, then you can find a causal linkage there to capitalism there, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me. Can I?
I have another one for this too. Yeah.
Go, Mr. Go, Mr.
So I'm 100% on board with this idea. Like, there are a lot of issues that are deriving from capitalism, right? That this idea of the mode of production, right? 100%. But I don't think it's inherent to capitalism. Does that make sense? In capitalism in its current form, this is happening. But I don't think that this means that this is an unchangeable fact about capitalism. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So,
I mean, if we
finish.
Proof that something like wage labor has like an innate negative effect on your mental health in the form of things like worker alienation. I think
that's what I wanted to get into. Yeah.
In terms of like empirical analyses of like work just work in general on your mental health.
Uh-huh.
I'd say that's something pretty like innate to capitalism. But
Yeah,
if we were
innate to
looking for
capitalism.
something, it would be innate. So
The problem that we're having right now, the reason I brought this up is the problem we're having right now is that we're talking past each other. We're not actually having we're thinking we're arguing against things that we're not arguing against, right? So to clarify, let me go with this. So consumerism is an example of something that I think is a very large issue in our society currently. 100 million%. We create problems to sell to people that they need to fix them, right? I think this is 100% good. A good example of this is Supreme. You guys know what Supreme is? Anybody familiar with what Supreme is? Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Sign value moment.
No, you're good. You're good.
So Supreme has created this idea that you need to be cool if you have to have Supreme, or if you don't have Supreme, you're not cool. With marketing, with the idea of like everything that they're doing to reinforce this brand image that they have.
Spectacle moment.
Yeah, like this 100. I don't know what that means, but yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, but I don't think that Supreme and the concepts that are being enforced by this is an inherent like aspect of capitalism. Is what I'm trying to say. Capitalism is an economic form that is what is it calling? Sustaining our wants and desires, and these are some of the things that it's trying to fix in this way.
So, Mr.
I don't
Mace,
think
you said specifically markeing and how it impacts social institutions makes people want to buy Supreme, right?
Yes.
So in a post-capitalist world, would there still be marketing?
No, I don't think so, or maybe there might be. I'm not sure. That's a question that is that's a question that I don't think is answerable.
No, wait.
Hold on. I think there are plenty of arguments you could say, you can make as to whether or not like something is innate, but I think what we're trying to get at sort of is that it's perpetuated heavily by the system. Like, typically when we're talking about things like ANCAP, right? ANCAP, I'd say racism. Hold on. I'd say something like racism is not like innate to ANCAP. Obviously, plenty of ANCAPs are racist.
Anarcho-capitalism.
But due to the ethics, due to the ethics that they subscribe to, I would say something like that could be easily perpetuated due to the fact that it is permissible. In a post-capitalist society, it's not permissible. It's impossible. You just can't do it.
Why would it be impossible?
Do y'all want the certain like? Do you want the empirics in here, or do you want it in the like? Actually, I'll just put it in.
So let me express my like perspective on what you guys need to prove to me for me to be on board with what you guys are saying. You have to prove that there is some kind of mental health problems that is inherent to capitalism that we cannot fix, and that the proposed solution that you guys have would actually work. Right, that you have to prove all those things at the same time.
I don't think we have to propose a solution. Actually,
no,
I think we're just critiquing capitalism.
For him specifically, he said solution, but overall to the audience and for the people watching, I just hope to show any liberals watching, your solutions will not solve a lot of the issues that I hope to bring up in this time.
But
you're
gonna
go into capitalism.
But you have to prove that. You have to prove. Like I hope. And I'm
hoping to. I want to bring up post-Fordism workplace and how it causes anxiety within the mind.
Lord is here.
Are we doing?
We should get Jasper in here. I don't know anything about this, John. So you
all right. Before we go in, all right, Wes. Before you go into your another rant, we can only fit 10 people in here.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, I know. We can only fit 10 people in here.
John, I can take a break for a little bit and come back.
Yeah, you take a break, Drew.
Okay, I'll do that.
Wes said that he wants to head out, right? To bring in somebody else?
I don't know anything about psychoanalysis or anything.
All right, so Wes, how about you? We can.
Wes, make sure you watch them.
Okay, I'll leave stream for a little bit, but I want to.
Nah, bro, I'm just talk to Jasper about it. The fuck?
Is Jasper?
Nah, Jasper's not coming home till about 11. So.
Oh. How about Drew leave and Wes leave? Let's get one of your goons to come in. I know you have.
All right, but I don't have any goons.
You literally have like 20. Like I know you do. But let me kick. Where's Wes?
Just for clarification, this is a study.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I'm not sending a study in. I'm just sending like an intro about the specific like topic that references studies into it, just so we understand.
So like going like beyond suicide rates. So like can we go like a more deep dive into like the mental health? Like, would you talking about like more like depression and like just like I'm just not convinced that you can essentially solve suicide. That's why I'm like happy with like alleviation.
Well, yeah, no, I would agree. Right? Like, what do you mean solve? So clarification. Like I mentioned earlier, right, with Mr. Me. Like I mentioned earlier that like I agree that like in our proposed society, in reference to socialism, it's probably the case that
But there will be some
people
level of
will
suicide,
probably
right?
still commit suicide. Yeah, like I would agree, right? I'm not here to argue that like and obviously, right, suicide has existed before capitalism too, right? Obviously. That isn't necessarily our argument here. Our argument is one, that capitalism purposefully perpetuates it, and two, makes it worse because it is useful profitably. That is our argument, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. You can make that argument. You can make that argument, but I want you to know that like from a perspective from a liberal, you would have to prove that anything else would be better.
Yeah.
You have to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
100%.
and also, I also like that. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone in this call, or at least me from like the PK side, we're not happy with what we have right now. I mean, we're striving for better.
No one's ever
right? One thing I'm always researching and looking into is like social innovation and better ways to increase people's at least quality of life. I mean, that's what I was talking about with the job guarantee program. I mean, it alleviates like lower rates of like depression. I mean, with unemployment, it's like increased rates of alcoholism and depression. I mean, and like and there's
So with the
for sure. So I don't want to make it seem as if like, just a quick clarification. I don't want to make it seem like we're saying that you guys don't at all care about making things better, right? That's like not necessarily our argument either. Our argument is that we believe that certain things could go farther, right? That's like, we obviously both agree, and most people who've come in from the leftist perspective have like come from like a pragmatic PK type thing, because most of us probably don't think a revolution.
We should probably focus on one issue, probably, right? We should try to focus on one specific issue, because if we talk about mental health broadly, we won't be able to discuss any actual anything like the disagreement.
Okay.
You know
so the main reason why we brought up mental health broadly is, and as I tried my best to send in more stuff, I'm trying. God, my phone is so slow.
Could you send it in the private chat as well?
Yeah, I'm sending it in. So this isn't a study, by the way. This is just like an intro article thing to the general argument, just so you understand that it's just an article. But I'll find more stuff for you as we go along. But anyways, so the general crap I was about to say. The reason why we brought up mental health in general is it seems to be the case that we can find things that we consider to be harmful, like schizophrenia, depression, of course, and other forms of mental health that I'll try to find as we go on.
Yeah, I'm not really 100% sure with like the stems and like the root causes of like schizophrenia, but
here's a question I propose to you guys. Do we not agree right now that our understanding of like the brain is not very good right now in terms of like we have broad?
I would agree.
Bro,
I would agree that it's. I would agree it's not.
You would not agree to that, Gannon?
No, because what you're going to attempt to do is you're going to say, "Oh, well, you agree that we don't really understand the brain, so we can just write off mental health issues, so we don't know."
No, I definitely do not want to run away from. I don't want to run away from mental health issues at all. I mean,
I'm not trying.
That's
so
one
say
thing.
That we don't know enough about the mind.
No,
I would. Okay.
The idea that we don't know enough about the mind. So if our plan is to combat mental health issues, we should find a way to expand our understanding of the mind. Yes or no?
I mean,
sure, but that's something that.
So Gannon, what you just did is you thought I was going to say something. You responded to that thing, but that's not what I was going to say, right?
Okay, I'm sorry I did that, but I don't understand. But specifically,
I'm kind of confused
that we should understand the brain more. I agree with you.
Yeah. Of course, yes. Yeah. I felt like I didn't.
What
say
does this have to do with liberalism?
I joined
nothing.
That's what I
honestly.
Sure. So
let's clarify. The reason we're bringing up this.
Bruh, there's so many people trying to join. Bernard, you're yelling. Okay.
Wait,
I'm gonna let you
who in the line?
My bad.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You're good. All right. There's so many people trying to join. But what we're talking about is we're talking about liberalism, alienation, mental health was the biggest conversation, and commodification was another thing that Drew brought up. I think we're down to 2 liberals right now.
What does us saying, "Oh, we should research the brain more," have to do? Like honestly, I don't think that's something that's exclusive to any specific system.
So, Chai, you're 100%. You're 100%. Well, no, I actually disagree with that. So the reason I brought that up, right, is that we should advocate for a system that allows us to do this as best as possible, right? 100% within reason, of course, right? Within reason. We're not going to torture people to find out more about the brain.
By the way, you're a liberal right now.
Me?
No, Josh has to be a liberal right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be a liberal. Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I don't have a problem with arguing with Buddhist people. I don't know if that's a concern with
Okay,
you.
so
but I'm
what
fine.
are the
I was not bringing up
Wait,
the
do you think that the
what are the
epistemology, like,
argumentations? What's the
do you think that the way that we understand and the way that we categorize mental health right now is helpful in any way, and conducive to actually solving mental health issues?
What do you mean by that?
what do you mean
Can
by
you
that?
clarify?
The DSM-5, the whatever the other one is, the one that they use around the rest of the world.
The DSM-5, that's the one where how we diagnose people, right? I'm familiar with what the DSM-5 is. So what's the problem? What's your concern with the DSM-5? I just want to understand your position more.
Yeah.
Maybe I agree, but I don't know what you mean specifically. What's your specific issues with these things?
I mean,
we don't really have any. I mean, like a lot of the mental health issues that are categorized in the DSM-5.
Not gonna lie, what are we talking about right now, y'all?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting. I feel like
I'm
trying to see the relevance.
Wait. If our concern is to combat mental health, that is your problem with capitalism right now, right? Capitalism has problems with cause mental health. Mental health.
I can't even say the N-word on stream.
Right, but okay, so
no, please don't.
I'm not. I learned some slurs that.
Please don't.
I shouldn't say they're slurs. They're not slurs. They're not slurs. They're not slurs.
Bro, you're getting, bruh. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the issue is that when
low-key, I'm gonna switch my position on everything.
When mental, we unlike other disorders or diseases that we can measure and that we can find, more we can find more like empirical evidence for. Now, I'm not saying that's the only form of valid knowledge about things, but those are things that can be treated more effectively with specific treatments. When we do something like when we take something like mental health and we try to categorize it into specific different categories, we separate depression and anxiety. And while comorbidity is a thing, it's often treated as if like these are just not necessarily intersecting things, but rather just like that they all exist and that like in
a vacuum
at the same time.
Can I pose
Yes,
a question?
and so part of it is that like when people try to treat these, rather than treating holistically, people the capitalist system and liberalism basically says, okay, well, we're going to treat this thing specifically like this, and then we're going to treat this other mental health issue like with this treatment plan, or often involving medication, often involving insurance companies, which incentivize doctors to prescribe certain medications.
Wait, so can I?
Right. Yeah.
Wait.
So what are your contentions with treating each, I guess, specific diagnosis
just
in
separately,
an individualistic manner, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of odd to attempt to holistically like mitigate all of mental health within some form of like
exactly.
a psychiatrist or psychologist like matter. That seems like
okay.
Wait, I'm not.
Yeah.
Wait.
So
okay. I just misconstrued you.
Okay.
Wait. What? Can I? Okay. Go. Who wants to speak? Sorry.
Okay. I was just gonna. So like, I feel like we were getting a little bit off topic. We could go like more like the roots and like just talking about mental health in general. I mean, I think like we both agree we can't eliminate. I don't think we can eliminate mental health. Or you could go back if you like.
Wait, Chai, can you just
So I didn't necessarily finish what I was saying. So basically, when we do that, what we're doing is I think that the focus is then on the individual rather than the social relations that create mental health issues in the first place.
Okay.
That's basically what I'm saying. So when like within the system, the way of within liberal capitalism, the way that we treat these things is divorced completely from social relationships and divorced also from people's material conditions.
I disagree with this wholeheartedly. I disagree with this.
Let the man finish. Can I propose another question now? Because I better understand your statement. One of the things that seems to be corresponding with mental health, just when I looked over a couple of studies, is overtime working hours, right? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that something like that cannot be reformed through bettering the material conditions through various social programs, right? That would then not incentivize people to work overtime as often.
Sure, but that
Yeah.
gets into okay, but where
But
like
then I would like a lot
that
of
might
these
that might
things that
solve
we've
things
seen,
in
right?
certain localized areas, but then it will make problems worse in other parts of the world.
So,
Does anyone
like,
know
what
who
other parts of
Carl-
the world? Are you
does
talking
anyone
about
know
like
who Carl is?
exploitation of the global
You're
south, or
referring to
Yeah,
exploitation.
the peripheries.
Okay.
But
All right,
yeah.
well, all right, wait,
okay,
wait,
but
wait.
I don't
Wait, wait,
that's
wait,
not
wait.
that's not inherent to social
All
democracy.
right.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
argue
okay,
that.
wait. This is actually really, really interesting. If you guys want to talk about,
All right, 1 second. If we're talking about exploitation, I'm sorry, Bernard, I keep muting you for some reason. I'm trying to get this out. I want to wait till Asib comes back so we can talk about exploitation. Does anyone know who Carl is?
I have no idea.
Who is?
Carl Jung.
The
Carl Jung. Oh
archetypes
my
of the
gosh.
collective unconscious is particularly.
Is this Jasper?
Is this
Yeah.
Jasper?
Yeah, that's Jasper.
Oh,
Man,
Y'all
Carl
all
Jung.
seem so
Oh,
smart on this stream,
oh,
bro.
my name is.
I'm not that smart,
Pearson.
by the way.
Hold on.
I'm
Finn,
not
what
that
was
smart.
the,
I swear to God.
What was the specific link you sent in chat? Is that like a study or?
It's a study about anxiety and depression.
The libs right now are Mr. Me,
Josh.
I don't want anybody to LARP, please, John. I'm very comfortable defending my own positions. I don't need like 3 or 4 people to feel like to make it even.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
No, but like,
and Drew's taking a break right now.
Ironically, like my stance on PKE and things like
I'm
that.
also a lib.
Right now, so like, I
Base,
probably
man.
do fall under the liberal category because I am anti really certain socialist things.
So
go ahead.
Yeah,
Bernard,
maybe.
sorry.
Yeah. I think,
so what else?
I agree. That's
okay. Do y'all want to? Okay. So do y'all want to continue with the mental health conversation or talk about the global south stuff?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the global south.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
Let me get a seat in here.
I just start by. Okay, you could go ahead first. Sorry.
I'm curious on what your guys' like school of thought is on foreign policy. Then, why do you think states interact with each other?
What do you like?
Yeah,
what is the interest of the, of the interest of the state, right?
See, yeah. So like, okay, because here's the thing, right? There's generally 3 schools of thought. There's more, but like these are the biggest ones: realism, liberalism, and Marxism, right? Realism, I like it's basically closer to what Mr. Me said about like states doing things purely for self-interest. Has more of the ideas of like stronger states will do what they do type thing, and weaker states sucks. Liberalism is the idea of like there's more interest essentially than just the things of the self-interest for the state. Rather, we have other things that motivates us in certain states. And Marxism, generally speaking, although there's like all these things have subcategories, but Marxism argues that the main thing basically like that pushes for the reason why states do things is based on economic interest. Most of the time it is based on the interest of whatever states economically to be more powerful than others, right? Basically like, and to all these have different subcategories: realism, neo-realism, classical, blah 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 blah, and Marxism, classical Marxism.
Sure.
Right.
So you're asking us. So maybe can I try to rephrase your question? Maybe so I can understand it better myself. You're asking us what is our position on what our foreign policy should be as in whatever state that we're living in, right? Yes.
Yeah, so 2 things. 1, why do states interact? And 2, what do you think foreign policy should be? The reason I bring this up is because if the state interacts in the Marxist lens of the economic interest of the state, then the economic interest of the state will generally tend to be realistically to exploit those who are easy to exploit to some degree, right? If the liberalism standpoint is correct in terms of their theory, then there is actually a chance here for a capitalist to still very much value some sort of social intervention and stuff like that. So this is the reason why I was basically asking on the descriptive aspect of these theories.
Sure. I think like it depends on your moral framework is what I would say, right? So if you want to ask me as a liberal, or you can ask Nick. Nick, you can speak.
Yeah, I guess my main response to that is that I feel like it would probably be more under like the liberal framework, like you're saying.
Sure.
I don't think like my ideology is like innate to like exploiting the global south. I mean, we definitely have a lot of policies and like that we'd advocate for those countries to enact. And I'd also like to point to like Sweden, like before 1993, there wasn't any noticeable. I mean, I can't say 100% exploitation of the global south until they kind of got rid of and had more conservative policies. Like a conservative party got elected in the early 90s that kind of shifted them and companies out towards exploiting their labor and exporting their labor to the global south. So I mean, that's like one of the primary concerns as well with like MMT and like in social democracy that we get posed with a lot. And I would not say that it is innate to our ideal society at all. I mean, a lot of things that we look at is like a developmental work. I mean, a lot of the policy implementations that we've actually tried to implement, we've tested out to at least increase the material conditions in the global south. I mean, like the one thing that I like to talk about the most, I've done the most research on, is the ELR and its positive implications in the global south. I mean, in countries like Argentina or even India, it had a positive impact.
Sure.
Yeah. So wait, real quick, before I was like
No,
talk
go ahead,
about
go
that, real quick, I was just reading chat. Somebody argued about like my definition of general liberalism. I'm specifically referring to the foreign aspect of why states interact under liberalism, right? So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with your definition there, but I would absolutely argue that other schools of thought, such as realism and Marxism, generally say on the descriptive aspects of why states interact. Generally speaking, it seems to be the case that liberalism is a far more optimistic theory compared to realism and Marxism in terms of what like things states tend to do, essentially, right? So like it wasn't necessarily like I would agree necessarily with your definition. There's more of a reductionary take, not basically, but yeah.
So, Buddha, can I? I'm just gonna say one thing, just one thing, real quick. I think that when we're talking about foreign policy, this all depends on what state we're discussing, right? Because some states will fight for whatever they think their ideals are or whatever, but some states will also only act in the economic interests of their people, right? This all depends on the type of state that we're talking about. So I don't know necessarily if I agree with like the descriptive claim. Not all states act in the same way. Obviously, we would all agree with that. So like.
Sure.
Go ahead, Buddha.
Oh yeah, sure. So like,
you were gonna,
I was just gonna necessarily like, I would agree. I would say okay. I don't know if I'm necessarily like an economic determinist, right? I don't necessarily think that only money and class is necessarily what always determines people's beliefs and things, right? So I suppose in that sort of lens, I guess I would be more of a neo-Marxist in that sort of regard. But what I would say is it does seem to be a majorly determining factor in terms of why certain states interact with other ones and why certain states decide not to do certain actions compared to other ones. In terms of, I feel like it's in terms of Marxism here, how do I explain this? In terms of liberalism, I feel as if I would like it a little bit better than realism in this sort of sense. But it seems to be the case that this interaction via the I don't know how to explain like what I'm basically getting at here. But
what is the?
Are you asking for like examples or?
Like, what are you asking? Like, do you want to say what our ideal like foreign policy is, or what is the question?
I'm basically Sure. So I'm basically stating here, I don't think that states necessarily, in terms of foreign policy, interact mainly in the terms of like moral good, right? Because especially on the international stage, when you find other states with different forms of morality, whatever it might be, we generally tend to say that like, okay, maybe like with lack of a better word, a cost-benefit analysis of terms of things that we should do, right? But it seems to be the case that liberalism has tended to lead more and more to some form of a general, even though somebody mentioned this in the chat there, it is true that liberalism tends to not like power politics. I would agree based on from what I've seen. I don't think it necessarily describes essentially of the nature of how states interact with each other. So I'm making a descriptive claim here. I'm not really making a normative one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the question I was trying to ask. Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Foreign policy.
Foreign policy, and the nature of liberalism versus Marxist schools of thought.
Yeah.
What? Like where? Like, what do you mean foreign policy?
Descriptively, why state? I'm asking why. Where's your stance on why states interact, essentially?
It depends on the state. That's what I said. But I mean, like
Well,
generally,
yeah, that, but like
Sure,
under
but, like,
Keynes
you-
says, well, here I'll tell you what some of what Keynes read on. Keynes pretty much was saying that there wouldn't technically be any global fights among other nations under our systems. What exactly would happen is just every country would technically do their own thing unless it came to trade and diplomatic issues.
yeah, well,
Okay, okay, sure.
So if
No, there would be no imperialism before somebody walks that shit up.
So the question that I would propose, right, is that what are you trying to get at here, Buddha? I'm not trying to attack you or anything. I'm just trying to see
Sure. Because I probably phrased it in a weird type of way, right?
Yeah.
So my critique here in terms of international politics in virtue of liberalism is I don't think it has good explanatory power on the nature of how states interact, and I think it'd be really, really bad sometimes to hope at best, especially since under liberalism we still want a form of democracy, right? So to hope at best that states or maybe not, I don't know, actually I don't want to strawman it.
I would support a constitutional monarchy, but
okay, sure.
I would not support it.
I mean, we're kind of split on the issue, but
yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
wait, that's fine. Yeah, it's just
Yeah. Okay. So I guess this wouldn't really be a critique more of West's position. Then it would be more of a critique of, I guess, the democratic stances, right?
Okay.
We would necessarily, I feel like, under your system, be hoping that states don't interact in their form of economic interest.
Okay. I kind of get
and
your
I don't know
interest.
that's
I
necessarily.
kind of get your question.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, when I was first talking about it before I had to go for a little bit, I was talking about how Sweden originally, I mean, they had a mix of an ELR program, and I also think that there's a pretty correlation between trying to export and corporate tax rates. We with MMT perspective, we're really just trying to change the way that people are looking at just government spending in general and what you need for government spending, and we're just saying that a lot of people are getting it wrong right now. And I guess the closest to what we were saying would be Sweden, the I guess 1993, which some people have written about, and like I said before, there wasn't any from what I was reading, there wasn't any exploitation of the global south. One thing that we're also that's something I've been reading up on a lot lately, and they're also a democracy as well, in Sweden, or a form of democracy.
When you say there was no exploitation of the global south, what do you mean by that?
Corporations, it's just Sweden was mainly domestic production. I can.
So, so here's the thing that I want to.
What I would say is that a lot of Marxists and whatnot are quick to just jump to this exploitation of the global south without having any sort of coherent idea of what they actually mean by it.
Also, really, really quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, Finn. You can go right after this. But Denise, thanks for the comment, by the way. That helps with explanation stuff. Thanks. But yeah, you can continue.
All I would say is that, especially when it comes to overexploited nations, underdeveloped and whatnot.
Wait, Finn, before we get into this, how are we looking at exploitation through the global south? What type of way, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that any sort of exporting of industry to a lower variable capital, constant capital, which I think is somewhat inseparable from the capitalistic system as a whole. It doesn't really matter.
Wes, your mic is so loud.
Oh, really? My bad.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Finn. Literally, everyone's interrupting Finn. Let Finn speak.
My bad.
Yeah, and I'm not going to turn this into the longevity of capitalism or whatnot, but I think we can all agree that the goal of capitalism, whether it's Austrian, whether it's Keynesian, is to maximize your profit. I mean, I don't.
I would somewhat might disagree. Are we looking at it through a private corporation, or are we looking at it from Okay, so this is the thing with the PKs, right? I'll let Nick go since he was gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because I was kind of bringing it up. So pretty much the quote that I was bringing out when it came to exploitation is it was in 1991 they removed the socialization of investment. and it was the cause of like a bunch of like Swedish firms to like reallocate their firms to move elsewhere. Like you're talking about like profits, the profit incentive. Like when they like removed that policy that they had before, that's when the Swedish firms started to move elsewhere. Like you were saying before, like a move like to the global south. Like because
Okay, my question for all the Marxists would be what, like, I understand your critiques of like the current SOCDEM system, like the Nordic models and things of that nature, right? In response towards like, I guess, exploitation within the global south. But my main question would be like, what are your propositions of bettering the material conditions within the global south? Or is it?
Yes, sure. So okay. So in terms of international relations, what the general like Marxist school of thought would say is that these types of relationships between different states and countries is intrinsic to the nature of capitalism. So essentially, just like, and which we'll probably disagree with here, of course, but we'll see general rise in some states' wealth in some sort of degree. And now that state has an incentive to can use the thing that led to said increase in state's wealth, right?
Before we get into that, we have to understand that right now in our capital system, we use a fiat currency, which every country in themselves can become rich. It's just, a matter of time, right? This is where MMT comes into play. Finn might disagree because of his theory of money bullshit, but you know what to say. So pretty much, right? Every country, I get bullied for this a lot, but I'll just say it, can print money, right? No matter third world, underdeveloped, I don't care, whatever word you want to use, a country can print money excessively without seeing inflation due to the currency not being backed up by a commodity.
Republic moment. Yeah.
Oh my.
Did you actually just bring, did you act, are you being unironic? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's being, I don't know if he's being unironic.
I don't think he's not being unironic.
All right, Nick, go.
Wait, are you or I'm?
No, I don't think he is.
No, he's not.
Nick, just go.
Wait, I can't tell if he's being
serious.
serious.
No,
just say that.
He's being serious. He's being serious.
Okay. I mean, when it came to Zimbabwe, it was pretty much the collapse of like one of their main resources, like the replacing of the farmers and the lack of output that caused the hyperinflation, not just printing money by itself.
By the way, time goes by they, them. So just,
I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know that. My bad.
And Chai, with the like Weimar Republic, they couldn't. How do I say this? They couldn't. I really don't know how to put this in a way.
They were pretty much getting like crushed by every other country. Like a lot of their debt was foreign denominated.
Yeah, that, and they couldn't back their currency with something.
Yeah.
I understand.
Can I still hear Bernard response to my?
All right, wait. Let Chai speak, please.
I'm joking. I was joking.
There it is.
But you were saying they weren't being serious.
I thought they were. I literally thought they were.
Well, no. Usually, everybody who says that's usually pretty.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I've encountered so many people who just use that same thing, and it's just.
I mean, wait.
I'm really. This isn't like a debunk type thing. I'm actually really curious.
Yeah.
Why do you think these countries don't do the whole print more money thing?
Okay, so this
really
is,
and then Wes, when you're done explaining,
are you talking about the global south?
To the global south.
I would say,
just general global south. I'm really curious.
I'm probably gonna leave after that. I just came here to preach on MMT. So the reason, my reason, right? These countries don't practice MMT. I would just say, right, my thing is just due to like the scare of inflation, which multiple macroeconomists have responded to. Ray, Mosler, Bill Mitchell, Minsky, I think, even wrote on something about it, and they've proven that there's no inflation, and like I think they've even showed, like, for an example, a country like Greece. Greece collapsed once it got rid of its national sovereign currency. Now, if Greece left the euro, which they're planning to do, and they go back on their national sovereign currency, they can just print their way out of their market collapse that's going on right now, which could stimulate their market back to where it was, but back before the crash.
Yeah, one thing I also like to add what Wes is saying is the IMF also, they kind of like force austerity upon a lot of these countries. I'm definitely not a big fan of the IMF. I would like these countries to at least like develop and like take a more isolationist and not like trying to accept the IMF's help. That the IMF's probably one of the main causes.
Yeah, I was curious.
All right, so now let's go back to the global south.
Yeah.
So we don't. Yeah,
So
I
the
do want
goal
to
is
end
to-
at like 2 hours. So, well, not in 2 hours, at 2 hours. But yeah, so we're like 20 minutes
Sure. So I mean, like,
or longer. It's fine.
like,
But go ahead.
yeah, sure. So like, I'm sure like somebody else would probably with a little bit more expertise here, because I would agree at this point in time, I probably can't make like an actual like sound critique in terms of like Sweden in 1993. Like, I'd be fine with saying that at the moment, and then post Keynesian type of sense there. I would have to think about it more. But yeah, sure. Like, that's fine.
Okay, so I have a question. When we discuss like foreign policy, what is it? What do you think we ought to be doing in foreign policy? Do we think that we shouldn't like intervene in any other governments at all?
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. No. Clarification. No.
Bernard, that's you. That's anybody who wants to speak. Anybody.
Yeah. So like my stance, I'm not an isolationist, right? Like, for example, like, this is why I got like, or what happened on Twitter yesterday in terms of like the foreign policy discourse. But I think that I would say for a fact that I don't necessarily like America. I think there's probably a lot of arguments you can make about certain sanctions across the world and how harmful that is, and about how America has kind of done a lot of things to try to gain more profits in of itself. However, I don't necessarily think that that entails that foreign policy from America is like we should just reject it and come back and like go into isolationism, right? Like, I'll talk about this more in depth like tomorrow. But for example, if we pulled out right now out of Afghanistan, like just cold turkey, that would be detrimental, right? That would be really, really bad. That would because of the general peace talks that are happening right now. So like my general stance is like I would like less of the type of harm that's done across the globe, but I think that it could be justified in certain instances, especially since since I would say that like since the Industrial Revolution, the entire world has kind of been globalized to some sense in terms of certain things happening in one country will affect another one. So in that sort of regard, I think we should probably make it so that like other groups of people like have the best effects that we generally have, right? I think this makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. You would agree that your position on this is not the norm in terms of among leftists?
Yes, in terms of leftists, yes, I know.
Any form of intervention.
I'll be I know. I'll be very, very excited for tomorrow's talk about the.
Are you? Yeah, I don't. I'm of the opinion that conversation shouldn't happen. By the way, I don't think that conversation should happen.
That would be
just a clarification. The discussion is going to be what to do and then what's surrounding it. So, it's going to be people voicing their, I think there needs to be a conversation because there's too much just, oh, you're this, you're that. I think that
John.
Yes, it's very, very Dictionary, and it's very annoying to be.
We do have to go back to the conversation. You can
DM me. Yeah.
Okay, so a question that I would have for leftists, and I would kind of consider myself somebody a leftist, post-capitalist, I guess is what I would deem myself or my political standing. But my specific question was, how would you guys go about bringing about like your post-capitalist society in which you like?
Yeah, sure. So like I mentioned this earlier. I don't necessarily like. That's why I'm reading into it more. I don't necessarily know the best way to bring about a communist society. From some people who I think I would consider pretty smart, that I've kind of talked to, probably some form of, because like obviously going straight from capitalism to communism is harmful, right? Like I'm pretty sure no leftist author in any sort of degree would go straight there, right? There seems to be some form of transitionary period. I think it's probably true. I hope so, because like I feel like it would be kind of detrimental to go straight from capitalism to communism. My general stance is I think it would be bad to go from a straight up capitalist mindset to the communist one. You should probably still use some form of market incentives. So I think we should be using enforcing a type of market socialism first, to then lead into some form of general nationalization of certain industries, and then lead into things to create some form of communism, basically.
Yeah. Okay. That was like my I wasn't like asking whether you're like for socialism, but just like in a
no, for sure.
Like
that would be
most leftists that I deem like most leftists are somewhat pragmatically PK, but like a lot of leftists do advocate for like direct revolution within like the global
Right.
south and things of that nature. I just wanted to know like if
yeah.
anybody had that like position and how they would go about imposing it like geopolitically, because that does seem quite unfeasible.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, so I guess to summarize everything that I feel about this conversation, I think liberalism is good because there's nothing that I feel like is being substantiated, and I feel like this conversation has been evidence of that. That's just my opinion, but like I don't feel like we got to any core issues at all or discussed them whatsoever.
I guess my take from this, that I'd say in this conversation, I pretty enjoyed the mental health critique. It was nice learning from your guys' perspective about what you thought and your critiques, because I'd also like to look into like maybe addressing them more later, like looking into ways to address them. But I also hope that I was at least able to like provide you guys a different perspective.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. From when I joined the conversation, I thought it was pretty fun. I'm not like dogmatic in any sort of viewpoint. I think whatever viewpoint is probably the most accurate and works the best should be the one that we adopt. And I've tried my best to be as good faith as possible to explain like when I don't have a good answer for you or something like that. I just generally enjoy conversations about learning. And yeah, I think it was. I think I would agree with Mr. Me in the sense that like we didn't get to core stuff. This is probably because we have more disagreements that stem from the initial argument. Like for example, the exploitation thing being inherent to capitalism would obviously us need to have a debate about the labor theory of value, which we didn't really talk about too much, right? So yeah, but I would still say it was a fun conversation. I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah. Does Chai Finn, Josh, so I haven't heard from Super Monkey Man and Schopenhauer's dog. I don't know who those people are.
Yo.
Yeah. What was what did you want me to say, John?
Well, I don't know. Are you the one in chat, or they just same
I'm
profile?
in chat also, but Schopenhauer's dog is also in chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do like
Yep.
sociological analysis or like theoretics of liberalism, but not like the economic factors of it. We can argue that.
And I do phenomenology.
Is anyone? I mean, we have a little bit of time. I want to end at 8. I want to end at least 8:30 because there's a feminism stream at that time. If we can move on to a different topic.
So let me ask you guys. What are anybody have any policy prescriptions that is like under Marxism or I don't know anything. Any policy prescriptions that
My
you
question
guys?
would be like, what policy prescriptions do you have to bring about socialism?
Right, because to bring about socialism or under socialism.
Yeah, like we can advocate for like SOC them and like PKE policies that are like better the material conditions of people, but like I don't see how this would bring about like socialism or communism.
But this is just liberalism. So what is it? Why are you guys inherently? Yeah, like what is like? If you guys think that in between we should be working towards liberalism, what is the problem with liberalism? I don't understand.
Yes, sure. So I think basically the Marxist critique. I think one really early critique is in Socialism, Scientific and Utopian or something along those lines. One really early critique is that the things like the liberal revolution or something like that was didn't go far enough, basically, right? It was better at benefiting the bourgeois. Now, of course, this is a little bit more of a classical text, but I think the sentiment is basically the same, and for like general Marxists overall, right? That basically we tend to argue that like liberalism just doesn't go far enough sometimes in certain types of certain types of positions and such. I think there's more critiques you can have, but like that would
so there's no but I feel like yeah, go ahead, Joshua, but
okay, Bernard, my question would be like, what would you define as far enough as being like how, like in a policy sense, like in a policy manner, like what like an example or
yeah, sure. So that's an interesting question because I don't like in a policy sense, generally speaking, and I don't know if I would consider myself an anarchist at the moment, but generally speaking, usually communists tend to be like some form of anti-state, and like in some form of general types of so in this sort of sense, like the only types of policy I could imagine is in the individualistic communes that exist.
But like the
So I don't know.
leftist engagement of now, like mutual aid and things of that nature, is not going to like in a practical sense, it's not enough to better the material conditions of people.
Yeah, sure.
So,
But like,
yeah,
I think one thing that leftists should generally do, at least, okay, in these type of conditions now, I think what I would want leftists to do is to push for general things that would be better for, like, and things that we would largely agree on. Like, you may disagree on the fact that it, you may disagree necessarily, like, maybe like liberalism does go far enough, but the policies that we generally talk about, we probably agree on, right? Like, for example, I would say that we should work through some pragmatic solution of a public option and then work towards Medicare for all, right? And blah, 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 for other things, right? I would generally say, like, because I tend to hold pragmatics to some high degree because I think they're kind of important. Not complacency, of course, but like pragmatics. So I would say a good thing for leftists to do is to try, in terms of policy today, is to try our general best to work towards policies that are better for material conditions, and then whenever what situation is the one that is necessary for some form of revolution or whatever other thing, peaceful thing, I don't know which one, to lead then to communism would be the move there. Basically, that would be my answer.
Sure. Does I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but does anybody else
I feel
want
like
to
there's
say?
a lot of leftists who are like anti-PK.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing, Bernard. I know it's nothing against you because I love you, man. But you are presenting a position that is reasonable and that is not what people are like when they're talking.
I know that.
Yeah.
Aggie was in here. I think. Aggie was in here, and also, I mean, I don't know if Chime is.
I have to leave in 5 minutes, but like,
Oh, sorry.
You and Nick, bro, I would love to talk about the mental health aspect, but I have like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we should talk at some point for sure, again. And I think there's a lot.
If you talk about the mental health aspect as well,
We're always willing to do a part 2, or even like you guys can go on like AA, or even we could do a debate if you'd like. It doesn't matter. We can do a different discussion on mental health entirety.
It's all good, yeah.
But yeah,
my question
is not
John.
I think a discussion will probably be more productive and like helping.
They always
each
are.
other learn.
Debates are just like pseudo jerk off sessions.
Sure, yeah. We'll have definitely another debate on the. We'll have a discussion on mental health and capitalism. Even though we had a big part on this, I think that discussing liberalism entirety is important. But we'll narrow that down in a different discussion. Just DM us on our Instagram, and we'll get another one going.
Can I express what I wanted to express real quick? Just real quick. I know we have a little bit of time, so I'm just gonna really quick.
We have some time.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that there are lots and lots of people who have been hardcore attacking liberals or like liberalism that have not. And there was in like 2 hours here that we had like a open discussion, and like I don't think anybody actually came in and tried to do like we had to have Gannon come in because no one else was coming in. Literally, like I just want to ask you guys, like
yeah, I didn't want to.
What is?
So why don't we talk about liberal sociology? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea as well to talk.
Wait, Super Monkey Man, what'd you say?
Yeah, so let's talk about liberal sociology. Like in my opinion, when you have liberalism or when you implement some form of liberalism, it's usually the conception of liberalism is actualizing the self, right, and differentiating yourself from some type of power process, right. But in my opinion, when you have liberalism, not only do you perfect the concept of power, but you perpetuate this power within not only yourself, but in all other aspects of life. So if liberalism really was, or the notion that it exemplifies is a reduction of power of state, I think that liberalism does not do a good job with reducing power in and of itself. So, I mean, if you want to talk about liberalist sociology, that's absolutely fine. But I don't think liberalism does any due justice in eliminating not only power processes or just stopping oppression of self.
Okay. I'm sorry. Was that directed at me? Was it directed at me?
I believe so.
Well,
I think it was a conversation about the mental
I thought you were a
It's just-
liberal.
I mean, like anybody can chime in. I couldn't care less. It's just a my take on liberalist sociology. So, I mean,
I don't know a lot about that. Yeah, I'll be honest. I just don't know
liberalism
anything
is
about
really broad. So, I mean, just hyperfixating on like topic of mental health or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily prefer doing that. I just think we should talk about the theoretics of liberalism, and this is quite literally what liberalism exemplifies. So I think if we were to have a debate on liberalism, it should be on this. So I mean,
Well,
wait.
But you have to have Jasper on that to get in that.
Yeah,
but
that's one.
Why?
But first, like, is it
Why is
possible
that?
that you can get on
Why
to like
would-
discuss
why
like
would you need
pragmatic and
Jasper?
PK? Why
You
that's
definitely don't need Jasper.
bad?
I'm sorry. Wait, are you a liberal or are you
No,
Me?
Me?
I'm post-cat.
no Monkey Man?
No, no.
Okay.
Definitely
You're
not,
both
bro.
post-structural.
I'm post-cat. but, like,
Definitely not, bro.
Bruh.
I still.
But anyways,
do
I'll be honest. I have no idea anything about like sociology in that aspect whatsoever. I have no information about that. I haven't studied that
isn't
specifically.
that the basis of liberalism? Like, how do you not like? I mean, if you were to defend liberalism, why wouldn't you understand like quite literally the concrete foundations of it?
Sure. So I came into this conversation thinking that we're going to talk about like specifically, what is it? Like specific things that liberals argue for, or like specific concepts that are commonly critiqued.
I gotta go, guys. Peace out.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I have
but
no
then,
idea.
Okay,
no,
I-
but
I
the
get
basis
it.
of those,
So
the
it's
basis
based
of
off-
those things are based on liberal sociology.
Yeah,
So-
it's completely reducible.
I'm sorry. I don't understand it. I don't think. I don't think.
So what I'm saying is the positions that you hold now, right? Your contemporary positions, whether it be like applied positions. So let's say healthcare or another applied position like immigration, whatever foreign policy, right? They all stem from a foundation, right? It's reducible to some quite literally foundational basis, and this foundational basis, right, is the reduction of power processes, right? Reduction of state influence on the self, right? And trying to exemplify self-individualism over anything else, right? This is just the basis of liberalism. You want quite literally to exemplify self and reduce any type of influence, foreign influence to self by some type of power or monarchic state, et cetera, right? So if that's the basis of liberalism, right, and your arguments and your contemporary applied arguments predicate themselves off this basis. So I just don't understand how you can't.
Maybe. So I'm gonna be 100%. I'm not very well read on most stuff. When I define myself as a liberal, I use what I have in front of me. So if we talk about, I honestly cannot give you specific critiques about what you're saying or like what it is. I just don't understand it completely. I just utterly.
I guess I could try and answer the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not 100% well read either, but you're talking about like more like a being able to like to be more yourself as like an individual was kind of like how like my ideal system would be able to allow for people to do that, or am I misinterpreting it?
Well, I mean, liberalism tries to remove force and power from a central entity in favor of having some type of individualistic power, right? Whereas we don't necessarily have a monarchic type style of power, like with a centralized force, like a king or something like that. Liberalism tends to have individuals hold power, right? And this power is dispersed throughout all individuals, right? My argument is, if you truly wanted to get rid of power, liberalism is antithetical to removing power within society.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
Wait, can I butt in?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's like this big presupposition that there is a true subject, like that has essential qualities. But I think that's like a very false presupposition.
Sure. I don't know. That's fine. I don't know specifically what you're referring to, but if I can.
I think it's referring to psychoanalytics specifically.
No,
it's not.
Oh, my bad.
Talking
Or
about
sociology in general.
liberalism as the system which is best for self-expression.
Okay,
He
my question
assumes
is,
that a
so when
subject
you're
has
critiquing
something
liberalism,
to
is that it's
express.
contradictory in nature? Is that what you're stating? Or like to Monkey Man? I'm not a liberal, so I don't really know, but that's
Oh,
pretty much
it comes to like the self-expression.
The notion is basically, right, the notion of liberalism is to negate power or to liberate ourselves from power from central force, right, and disperse power to the individual, allow the individual to hold power, et cetera, et cetera. So What I'm saying is liberalism quite literally does the opposite. And
Why?
here's
Wait, why?
No, okay, here's why. If you allow individuals, not only do you disperse power throughout all individuals, what ends up happening is you have an even more oppressive system, and here's why. So you have individuals policing themselves. You have individuals, quite literally, Deleuze talks about Foucault, like it's a self-disciplinary society, right? Rather than having a central force disciplining you and attacking your physical body, you're quite literally now disciplining yourself on the basis of not only societal perception, of certain cultural norms, societal norms, but you are now the embodiment of oppression of self, because power is held not within a central entity, not within the central entity that affects you, at minute periods of time. So like, let's say you didn't pay your taxes or something like that. This central power enforces, not all the time, right? The central power only, hurts your physical self sometimes. Now it's constant. Every single point in time, you're either oppressed by another individual or oppressed by yourself, because you're always conforming, no matter what, and that's the problem.
So you're oppressing yourself because of the societal norms, right? You're saying that if we disperse power onto everyone, right, we are causing people to get pressured through societal impacts, right? Is this correct? I want to 100%.
I'm saying it negates individuality. If there is some perfect concept of individuality, it negates, and that's what liberalism.
So if we So first of all, we assume that there is some form of way that someone can individually express themselves, right? We have to assume this. Yeah, sure, okay. So if there is some way for someone to express themselves, we should work. I was going to say, do we assume that there is like some way for an individual to express themselves, right? That's the first assumption we have.
I don't assume that. I don't want to posit anything. This is what liberalism assumes, that
individualism
should be strived for. I mean,
yeah. So like, I would say I'm not specifically like a fully understanding of that, but I'll try my best to give you my my own take on that. Yeah. I would say that liberalism, right, is trying to minimize as much of the power process, as you said, as possible, right? So whether that be from what's it called, from a government or societal impacts, as much as we can try to work towards that. As long as someone can make individual decisions, I'm good with that. That's what I would argue for, 100%. So, but how is this like? What
I'm saying, those decisions aren't individualistic whatsoever.
I guess
they can be, right? I would say that if we have a society that values that, right, then that we could exist in a society that would do that, right?
Yeah, you see, the notion is that you value individual decision and individual thought, but in reality, it's just it's homogenous. There's just this hegemony of fucking of decisions and of ideals that are just perpetuated, and it's not as if you quite literally have individual thought. Like you may seem and it may be professed that liberalism provides the individual with individual thought or self-contained thought, but what I'm saying is this is quite literally not what happens, right? We talk about interpolation, we talk about these types of concepts where we internalize, right, not only the narratives and meta narratives dominant within our society, right, but we control ourselves. Like there's no longer senses or some form of individuality. We just consistently control ourselves and conform, because if we don't conform, we're either looked down upon. If we don't conform, we're either classified as deviants, right? This goes into biopower and stuff like that. So deviancy is classified if we don't conform. Not only that,
but wouldn't liberalism? But wouldn't liberalism argue for the fact that our society should start to more value someone making individual decisions?
Yeah,
right?
And that's the problem. That's the problem.
How is that a problem?
Yeah, I just explained to you, because you're now instead of one state and one entity.
But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about.
This is what I'm talking about.
No. I know, but you're not responding to what I'm saying. I agree.
No, you just asked me if this is what liberalism is, and I said, yeah, it is, and that's the problem.
No. My point is to say that liberalism argues for like society to more embody liberal ideals, right?
Individualism, embody individualism. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Make the individual into an autonomous subject. Yes.
Yeah. As much as we possibly can, right?
And that's the problem.
That's the issue.
Yeah, and that's good, right? But unless we would argue that this is an impossible thing to do.
What do you mean?
Super Monkey Man is saying that liberal autonomy, and I'd agree, is cramped.
Okay, so that's fine, but I'm trying to express that like we should strive towards that as much as possible, right?
But
That's the whole point of
if I just
Why?
outlined
Why?
the negative consequences of striving for that, why would you then still posit let's strive for this?
Wait.
Why would-
Wait. No, I don't think that you've posited that. That's my concern.
Yeah, I haven't posited anything. I'm quite literally just describing the failures of liberalism.
Sure, but you have to substantiate that, right? I would hope so.
I have. I'm telling you that you're
Wait, so
quite
then-
literally oppressing yourself based on social conditioning. Not only that, but narratives and dominant ideals held within society. I'll give you examples, right? So
currently that may be the case, but I don't think that that's like the end goal of liberalism. I don't think anybody would argue that we're in a society that complete.
No, the issue is like the base sociology at the bottom. Like if you always have individualism, you can't just get rid of it, right? If you define liberalism as a system that goes towards quote unquote liberal values, increasing individual autonomy, right? That's inherent to the system of liberalism. So you can't really just get rid of it, even at the end point of liberalism.
Wait. If your society is valuing individualism, right? That is in and of itself going to cause people to be individualist, right?
And that
yes,
Super Monkey Man and I are saying that is bad.
that is the problem.
Why is that bad?
Okay, so I'll reiterate, right? So when you profess individualism and then you quite literally disperse power between each individual, what happens is there's no longer a central force that can not only be identifiable, right, of what power structure truly is, but you also have policing of self, right? I'm gonna give you like I'm gonna like basically outline this, right? 18th, 19th century, right? You had societies quite literally based on social contract theory, right? You had a monarch and you had contractual power, right? Now, and this is worse than this, you have yourself policing yourself. So now, see, back in the day, the consequence of having a identifiable force, right, is that force could be toppled. That force can be once again identified, right, and you can seek to remove that force. But now, you quite literally have dispersed power all over the place, right? You have individualistic tendencies. You have your own individualistic thought that not only expresses your interests, right, but in doing so, you impact the interests of others, right? And what happens is there's a hegemony, of cultural ideals, of narratives and meta narratives that become dominant. Because if you have yourself holding power, and you have your friend on the other hand also holding power, and you have a stranger also holding power, all what happens is there's influence and constant influence. So rather than there being a monarch, handing down a punishment, right? There's now you policing yourself at all points in time. You do not have to be told, quite literally, there doesn't have to be a direct telling of what you need to do or how you need to conform, because there's no longer a monarch. There's just distributive power within you, within your stranger, within your neighbor, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, but we would want that distributive power to eventually land in the ideals of liberalism, which would be that everyone should act in a way that is individualistic, right?
This is liberalism. Yeah, that
yeah.
is liberalism.
Yeah, so that's good, right? Like distributing this power is better than one central person having that power. Of course,
I'm not gonna make the claim that it is, but all I'm saying is I'm outlining the faults of liberalism. I'm outlining the faults of, instead of there being a, once again, definable force that you can topple, right, like the monarchs of the past.
Sure.
You can't quite literally.
Sure.
You can't
The problems become more complicated.
Diffused within society.
Yeah, they become more complicated 100%, but that doesn't mean that they're impossible to solve.
Yeah, you can't. They're what do you mean? They're ingrained within society. They're interpolated. All these ideals are interpolated. Like you can't identify them anymore.
You can 100% change these ideals though.
You can identify individualistic power between each individual and what individual holds dear to themselves. I don't understand.
What do you mean? Wait, explain that again. Say that again.
These are unconscious. Okay, so when you have interpolation and when you have any concept and meta narrative that's dominant within society, they are quite literally, and Foucault talks about this, there's epistemological stratums of thought, right? You are born into it and you subconsciously infer these narratives. You already have a conception, right, of what when I'll give you an example. So if you're a scientist, right, and you're writing a paper or a research paper, you subconsciously already have a reference point, right? And this reference point is what's dominant within society. If you want to reference, right, what is right or what is wrong, you refer to what is dominant and what is contemporarily held within society, okay? Right? So, when you have this, right, you have this constant, and I mean constant and linear controlling of self, disciplining of self, right? So you don't have a central power, once more, to identify. You just have yourself and you subconsciously influencing other people subconsciously influencing you. So now, if you deviate from this influence, if you deviate from this standard, because everybody holds power, it's great. Everybody's an individual. It's amazing. Everybody now forms this hegemony of ideals, cultural thought, etc. And if you don't conform to this, you're classified as a deviant, you're looked down upon within society, and there's even classifications for you, criminal, etc. like that. Like,
the solution is that we just arrive at conclusions that are like good, right? That are liberal, that we would deem to be individualistic or cause the greatest amount of good, right? I don't see a problem with this. As long as we work to
I'm telling you, that's the notion. That's what's conveyed through liberalism. Like, liberalism preaches that there will be individualism and you can have your own self, like you can self-actualize and have all this thought. But what I'm saying is this is antithetical to removing power processes. Although it may profess to have individualistic thought and stuff like that, you will still be oppressed.
Wait, could you clarify a little bit on the power, like that
yeah, I came a little late. So is this is like an anti-democracy take, right? Like, I don't want to.
This is just a sociological take on liberalism.
Yeah, I mean, but what you're saying is, right, when all these people each individually have control over this society, subtly doing their influence. I mean, in a way that's sort of like a vote on what society wants, through their.
It's not necessarily political power. No.
No. I'm not saying that. It's sort of like societal power. Like, everybody sort of gets a little bit of say in what society deems as like good and bad, right? In a small say that's somewhat equivalent to a vote, right?
And you're saying it's bad. It's better than the alternative. It's better than the alternative. 100%.
Exactly.
I wouldn't equate it. Yeah, I wouldn't equate it to a vote per se, but what the point is that when you have yourself sharing power with another individual, or yourself sharing. What?
Could you go more into detail about like what you mean by like these power structures that you're kind of like?
Yeah, and how is it not sort of equivalent to a vote? Like, I get it's like a weighted vote. Like, some people have more influence than other, which is not very good. We should try and make it even. But how is it not analogous to a vote of some sort?
Yeah, exactly. You're participating in society to change it slightly, right?
Yeah, because the inference. Oh, well, that's the thing, right? It's not necessarily an intentional. See, when I hear vote, right, the inference I make, right, is an intentional want to change society, right? When you have a vote, you have an intention to either change society or you are delegated intention to change society. What I'm saying is, it's not necessarily formed as a vote per se. It is quite literally just the way you act.
Yeah, so it's like your everyday actions are your vote, right? Of what sort of society accepts as based
I don't
on
know
a vote by your everyday actions.
So I don't know if voting here is. I think the argument here is that he's making.
I see that voting is different. Yeah, voting is a more organized thing.
He's basically just making
everybody has a say in what this societal norm is based on how they act, right?
I guess I'm still kind of like, could you like give an example of like the power structures that like
a monarch that would be like
so 19th century 18th century power structures, right, would be some type of monarch, right? You had contractual societies, right, based on contract theory. Now what we have is power is capillary. You can't really identify power because power is individualistic. It's flown through each and every individual because each and every individual now influences other individuals, right? And that's the problem in my opinion. You have oppressive power and productive power. So in anything
what would you consider productive and oppressive, like an example?
Yeah, productive power is just anything that produces more. Productive power in this sense would be anything that produces or forces, or I wouldn't say force as an intentional, but I'd say it leads an individual to doing something. So in my action, or in my individualistic action, I am producing power in the sense that another individual, if they perceive my actions, they will consider this not only the cultural norm, but the idealistic norm of society. So that's what I mean by productive power. It's not necessarily because I make a distinction. So there's not really it's not really repressive. It's oppressive in my opinion, but it's not repressive. It's not repressive, but it's productive.
So were you saying earlier that the old ideas of like, you know, one central thing that sort of decides this stuff were better than this idea of spreading out this individual power?
I never posited that.
So what were you saying was better than the current system?
I'm not positing what's better. I'm just explaining the faults of liberalism.
Yeah. Okay. Well, every system, like I said this earlier, right before I left before, but every system has faults. The whole idea is what you know, risk minimization. Like you're trying to make things as less bad as possible.
Yeah,
exactly. Behind everything.
And
so I get, okay, this is a fault, right? There's faults with democracy. That doesn't mean I'm anti-democracy. Like some people, and some of these same faults are the same faults with democracy, right? Like the tyranny of the majority or whatever. This is a fault, but it's better than any other system we have. And I get that these are faults, and I sort of agree. But unless you suggest another system, I'm going to have to like say, okay, I'm fine with the one we have. Then I don't see anything to avoid.
Exactly. Our goal is to just self-improve, not to find the ideal system immediately.
Yeah. If you do have another system, I would like to hear it. But until then, I'm just going to say, okay, this is a problem, and we have no way of fixing it. That sucks.
Yeah, yes. So the point of making descriptive claims, right, and the point of describing systems and behaviors of individuals, right, and then the processes that underline these behaviors is for you to not only form normative claims and to form normative structures or however you decide to posit a system, right. The point of these description or the point of discourse analysis as a whole, right, is for you to understand there's faults in systems, right, and for you to not only weigh these faults in these systems, right, but when I propose and when I describe the faults within these systems, right, I hope that you can acknowledge these faults and and then if I propose a fault that is fundamentally ingrained within your system of individualism,
which it is, yes,
I'd hope, right, that you can understand that this may be a large fault in your system.
Yes.
You may want to recalibrate your normative claim.
Yeah, and I disagree, right? Like this is a fault in democracy, and I don't want to get rid of democracy, tyranny of the majority. Like why? Because I've looked for other systems, and I haven't seen anything that I like better. Yeah. I mean, I'll keep this in mind. This is a problem with individualism.
10
but
minutes.
as I'm looking out, I've never seen anything I think would.
We're ending in 10 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay.
Cool.
Sure. So the biggest concern I have with this, right, is that you're not actually proposing anything. You're just saying that this is a fault.
Yeah,
and I understand.
Which is true, right? We'll take it in mind. We'll keep it in mind.
Yeah,
but,
I
okay,
agree.
we agree.
I'm not making it. I'm not. I don't profess to make any normative claims or posit anything. But I think descriptive analysis is very important because
it is important, but not as important as suggesting.
But I think.
Well, I mean, if you don't have a foundational basis, and if you have.
Well, I think that my foundational basis is that we should strive to the best society.
And I explained to you, but
the
corollary of that is self-actualizing and quite literally emphasizing and hyperfixating on individualism, right?
But this is infinitely better than anything else that we can come up with.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Okay, so
like that.
Just that's fine. You can say whatever you want. Like the problems exist and they're okay. And I'm all for like describing problems.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think that other people would consider them okay in the sense, or I wouldn't.
No, I think he meant it's okay that we know these problems exist, right? It's okay that you're saying this.
It's a very big problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. All the other problems are so much bigger.
Just brush it aside. I don't understand.
No.
I'm curious, like from what would your guys' critique then, from like a Marxist sociological perspective of that? What would you say that would be worse in some sort of degree, compared to like what he laid out here in regards to liberalism, or would you say like the benefits of liberalism?
Well, he didn't suggest anything else, right? Are you now?
I know he didn't suggest. I know. But like I keep on hearing the argument of saying like this is better than everything else, right? That this is better in this sort of regard.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what your critiques are like in regards to like how Marxism would relate to like sociology. I'm really curious.
Oh yeah.
No, not you. That's just like the liberals in general. Whoever wants to.
Wait, can I comment on Marxian sociology?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say there's chats like saying like this was like this is like a liberals versus everyone. There was like 6 liberals on here before. Everyone kind of dipped.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I think the main issue with the Marxist sociology is the starting point of base and superstructure. And I think the main issue is that its emphasis on production, when in reality the object of political economy is not production but rather consumption.
Okay.
I have a question.
And
I have a
so
question.
I think at the very
okay.
base, all the extensions from Marxian sociology can just be generalized as incorrect.
can.
And I think you can take from, for example, Baudrillard or Bataille, or basically literally any French post-structuralist after Foucault. Even Deleuze and Guattari's idea of anti-production. They look at non-productive expenditure and things which go against production, and they work towards how general economy deals exclusively with consumption.
Okay,
And so when you displace relations of
would you
production,
consider yourself to have like more of a post-structuralist form of analysis?
What the hell? Wait, is it?
I guess.
Okay.
Who?
Is this Evan?
That was just towards.
No, I don't know who that is.
No, that was me that asked the question.
So can I just want to ask a question. What is okay? That's fine. I can understand that there are problems with liberalism. 100%. I can understand that there are problems with liberalism. And sorry,
pretty big problems. Yeah, pretty
sure,
big problems.
Sure, that's also fine. I don't care how big the problems are. I actually don't care.
I think you should if you're making a normative claim.
No, I don't. No, I actually don't care. No. Let me explain my position.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't care how big the problem is if there's no other better solution. That's it. That's the end of that conversation.
Well, that's just your conception of better, right?
No. Wait, what? No, of course not. If there is a better solution, right, which we could posit like there is, right? There's a solution that we could find that there is no problems with that, or there's less problems with liberalism than some other system. If you could posit that to me, if you could provide that to me, that'd be great. But there is none.
Yeah. See. I take a very Foucauldian stance here, right? I don't necessarily want to posit anything, but what I do, right, is provide discourse analysis. And not only do I do this, right, in making descriptive claims and in outlining the faults of your system, right, other individuals who want to propel another system, right, who want to make a normative claim for their system, they can weigh, right, my opinions on your system or my analysis on your system, and then make the normative claim, right? I'm not going to make a normative claim, right? All I'm doing is outlining the quite literally the foundational faults of your system, right? Although, you may not want to, you say you can acknowledge these systems, right? And then you're saying that, there's no other better system, right? But the point of the matter is, if I acknowledge these faults, or if you acknowledge these faults, right? And I point out these faults, right? That quite literally it allows an avenue of another individual or another system, right, to take these faults, to expand on these faults, to solve these faults, right?
Yeah,
I have no problem with that.
That individual is not
I
me,
have no
though.
problem.
I don't really care about going around and analyzing, finding new faults of system. I would just like to see somebody pause at another system.
Wait. It could be me. I think there is some level of value when we analyze these things and to point out faults. But if there is no better solution proposed, it's a useless conversation, I think.
Once more, the point is to point out faults, right? You've acknowledged these faults. So you've seen these faults are apparent in your system, right?
Sure.
And as I've like explained and exemplified, these faults oppress the self. These faults are more.
I personally don't believe that these faults are as big of a deal as that you're implying them to be. I don't think.
So then that's when the discussion, right? That's when I actually talked about it. That's when you should have challenged my claims.
I
right?
see.
Instead of that, you just.
I don't think there's
you
something.
stated or acknowledged that these are the faults of your system, right?
Sure.
Now you're
faults.
saying.
Wait. Let me clarify.
Wait, I just want to make this. I just want to make this. I just want to make this known, right? So when I actually brought up the sociological critiques, right? You could have challenged that, this type of power, this disciplinary power, right? It isn't as bad, right, as, let's say contractual power, right? But you didn't do that, right? And only now you're doing that after you've already acknowledged that these are the biggest faults of your system, right? So to me, what I'm looking at right now, right, is you've ceded that these are the biggest parts of your system. These are the foundational faults of your system, right? And now you want to challenge me on the actual claim on what's a worse system, right? When you could have done that, like, I don't know how long ago, 10 minutes ago, you could have done that.
Sure.
I agree.
All right,
what I see
we do
was
need
that
to
these
cut
faults
off
exist.
eventually. We're hitting your mark.
I'll just to summarize everything that I want to say, right? These faults may exist, and I've acknowledged that they exist, but as I said, I don't think they're that big of a deal. That's what I'm trying to get across.
See, in the interest of time, because it's ending, you could have debated me on whether or not they're as big of a deal. See, now you say that, right? But you could have debated me on that.
That's fine, but that's what I was trying to get at. That's, as I said, there is no other better system, so why would I care about this, right? That's what I mean by no. It's a fault.
But again, that's your conception of a better system. If somebody else,
that's the whole point. That's everything.
So then another individual, right?
No. You have no. Okay,
I don't have to posit anything, dude. I don't have to.
All right. We're kind of done. Like, we're kind of out of time.
Yeah.
We will have a part 2 to this discussion, revolving around mental health, and then we'll go into more sociology if we'd like. I like to thank everyone for coming. There is a feminism discussion at this Twitch channel. If everyone want to go see. I want to thank Neoliberalism Hype House, Politics Nick, Super Monkey Man, Josh, Chai, Bernard, Mr. Me, Drew, Gannon, Finn, all coming on. And I do want to thank you guys for coming on the discussion. I'm really excited. Tomorrow, everyone here tomorrow at 9 p.m. EST, we are having a discussion on the Uyghur Muslim crisis. Talking about, there's a lot of discussion on it. Bernard, can you speak or are you muted?
Oh, no, I'm not muted. I was just vocalizing I'll be there.
There's going to be a big discussion on that. I suggest you all join tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Some people like Bernard will be there. And we'll see who else joins. So anyways, we're going to end this broadcast. Everyone go to, let me just find the Twitch I put in the chat. Go to this Twitch to see the conversation on.
I hope it's better than this one.
Thank you guys all for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.